Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lunch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How's everybody doing tonight? Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back. So check this out. Even though you missed the live party, guys, that is the best part. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button. I would do it for you, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Before we begin, let's also say thank you to mysickshirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at mysickshirt.com. All right. What is good? Welcome. We got Lil Toes in the building. What is good? So yes, our running polls to start off the show is a multiple choice question of what is the biggest issue in America today. So I give you 4 options. So replay gang, let me know in the comments below. What is the biggest issue in America today? Drugs, LGBT/wokeness, immigration, or the economy? Let me know in the comments below. I'm actually really excited to be able to do this show with you guys today because, typically in the day, I know there's a little bit of a different audience with the people who watch the daily videos and you guys in the live chat, like Dan. Welcome to the party. And so my daytime people, my video on demand people, tend to get a little bit more of like day-to-day stuff, whereas in the live show, we're typically going over more broad cultural things. But Patrick Bet David of the Valuetainment Podcast actually went on summer break recently, and they just came back. Actually had another great show today. But what we're going to be looking at is the Lauren Chen episode. So if you are familiar with the Culture War podcast episode that we did with John Doyle and Destiny, the Asian woman that was there, that is Lauren Chen. I really do enjoy her content. She's not like a firebrand, but she's very reasonable. And I just haven't really been able to talk about her much. And then the episode itself, because Valuetainment was on break, they hit on a lot of the big stories that they missed. So we're going to be able to dive into some specifics. Before we dive in, Daniel says, by the way, you were right about that. Young Turk's video, never thought I'd agree with Cenk Uygur. Yep, I mean, times they are a-changing, aren't they? Welcome to the party. Please, if you have not already, please hit that like button. And as always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Merci beaucoup.
So we're going to talk about a lot of current events topics in a minute. You'll make the introduction of who you are for some of the people that maybe don't know who you are. Guys, we got a lot of things to talk about. Jamie Dimon gave a speech this last week in an interview that some people said, wow, this guy sounds presidential. If you haven't seen it, we'll play it for you. Even Bill Ackman, billionaire, said huge loss if Jamie Dimon doesn't run for president. We'll talk about Janet Yellen's trip to Beijing, as well as what happened with Trump when he went to UFC and the way he shook hands with Joe Rogan. A lot of people are saying that podcast is possibly coming up very soon. We'll talk about that. Ramaswamy.
I'm very interested to getting into that part because those of you who don't know, I am a huge UFC fan.
He closes in on DeSantis as Trump dominates the GOP poll. This is the Hill. 14 promises Trump has made in his campaign for second-term CNN. Maria Bartiromo confronts DeSantis on 2024 campaign, asking, what happened to your campaign? And his answer and laugh reveals a lot. And then outside of that, Joe Biden, what is the optimal time for Biden to drop out? It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's the Hill, whether it's the Atlantic saying step aside Joe Biden. They want him replaced by somebody else. We'll talk about that. This past on 4th of July, I don't know what you guys were doing, but in this one house, I think it's a White House. They found some white stuff in the White House, which is kind of appropriate.
Weird.
It's not a greenhouse. It's a White House, which makes sense. We're going to find that Vinny maybe has some insight on what happened with Hunter Biden there. And then Zuckerberg and Musk are going back and forth. And I don't know if you saw what Elon Musk tweeted last night, which is kind of crazy. Rob just told us about it. Maybe we'll show Elon Musk tweet last night about him and Zuck. Biden says war with Russia must end before NATO can consider membership with Ukraine in an interview with your guy. I know you got some thoughts on that.
Fareed.
And then we have the movie that came out, Sound of Freedom.
Shout out to
But at the same time, CNN
Sound of
talking
Freedom.
heads are now saying that this was the anti-child sex trafficking movie Sounds of Freedom is created out of bogus statistics and QAnon concepts. You have to hear this.
Now, I haven't seen the movie yet, Sound of Freedom, but I am so excited to see it. And I really want to actually watch it with you guys in Discord, but that's a whole other thing. Shout out to the Camcast. Welcome to the party. Said Trump isn't going on JRE. Why would you think that? I mean, I don't necessarily think that he definitely is, but why would you say that?
Person on CNN talking about it, and Rolling Stone comes out trash.
Shout out to Bailey. Welcome to the party, girl.
This movie while supporting cuties. And at the same time, an article comes out a couple months ago talking about Rolling Stone's editor-in-chief spiked reporting on friend getting arrested for child porn. So where is that's a little bit confusing when you're doing something. Anyways, we have a lot of things to cover here on stories.
Indeed. So that's that, right there. They're running down the list of all the things that we're going to talk about. I don't know if we're going to get through the full podcast, but I'm trying. He is. I don't get it. I don't get it. Just when the summer comes around, it hits 7 o'clock and he just gets terrified. But yeah, we're going to go all over all these issues as many as we can. And let's do it. I'm excited to talk about it with you guys.
But before we get started, Lauren, if you don't mind taking a moment and sharing with the audience your background.
Sure. So I'm currently a YouTuber, content creator, Blaze TV host, TPUSA contributor, but I started, what was that, 7 years ago, maybe just posting videos on YouTube just anonymously for fun. I definitely didn't want my face out there at the time because I wanted to be able to work, which I think the ship has sailed on me having a job outside of what I do now, just because of all the things that I've said over the years. But
what was work? So what did you do?
So I was actually doing human resources.
HR,
yeah,
really?
HR,
Okay.
right?
What type of company were you doing HR for?
It was for a consulting company, so it wasn't really hiring. It was more like strategic HR, human capital type of thing, which.
So Camcast said Trump isn't going on JRE. He said, I almost know Joe wouldn't host Trump. Actually, now that you say that, I do remember. Well, let me get through this. But Camcast says, I almost know Joe wouldn't host Trump. He thinks the pushback would be too much. He says he had time where he's considering it because Trump will occasionally reach out. And now that you say this, I remember him talking about how he doesn't want to. Not necessarily just the pushback, but the influence, that he doesn't want to, influence one way or the other. So I do remember him saying something like that, but I don't know, man, that would be huge. Like how we were just talking about, we want to look into these conversations with Tucker Carlson and Andrew Tate, just because they're two juggernauts of culture and coming together. And I mean, I would love it too, but I do think you are right. I don't know if that is going to stand, but hopefully, let's cross our fingers. Shout out to Nick. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya.
Which I still find interesting, but it's obviously very different. And especially, I'm not necessarily politically correct. So when people hear that, they're like, really? HR? It's like, not the type you're thinking of. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be the type to write anybody up, but I'm a young woman and I was just kind of feeling like my peers especially were having one very, very specific viewpoint, radical feminism, shoved down their throats. And I felt like it just wasn't representative of not only myself, but a lot of people out there. So that's
what's interesting that you bring that up is that you're saying that you started doing these videos anonymously.
Yes.
And you didn't want to be known for this. That's actually very indicative of the tweet you just did a couple days ago about, well, it was yesterday, I believe, when you were in the Bahamas, basically saying that successful people who have made it in their life don't want to basically put their stuff out there. Explain that to me.
By the way, it's funny you say this. Why do you
Well, I mean, why would you want to fame is only good because of the privileges of money that it comes with. I mean, there's people who do want that attention specifically these days. But if you could be rich and have all of the benefits of being famous without people knowing who you are, why wouldn't you take that?
I think people are so scared to, share their opinions. What do you think is causing this fear? I mean, I'll give my story of a guy.
It's the woke mob. We know that it's the woke mob. And this is why I've recently been talking about so much about this tipping point and things are changing and the pendulum swinging, all that stuff, is because most people don't think these crazy left-wing things, but they're just scared. They think everybody else does, so they have to go along with it.
By the way, you should have met these guys. These are your kind of guys. But why do you think people
conservative
are so scared?
Christians, great guys?
They were Persian Jews from New York.
Oh, wow.
Who knew how to party.
Wow.
I mean, this is your
that's
community.
my people right there.
Oh,
shout out
even
to
though
those
you're not
guys.
Persian. So why do you think people are scared nowadays?
Well, I mean, it's cancel culture, and it's been done to death. The issue, everyone knows it's real now, but I mean, years and years ago, people were starting to realize that it was a thing. I mean, you have your social ostracized. You can be socially ostracized if you have the wrong opinion. This is especially true if you are a younger generation. I mean, your peers are being indoctrinated almost nonstop from, I mean, the education system, especially if they're going to a college, media, social media.
And hey, shout out to Zippy the Strange and Opus in the building. Welcome to the party. Zippy says, why is it 80 degrees in here? Oh, right, I keep putting off getting an AC unit. Well, yeah, you might want to do that. I would not be having fun if there was no AC. Welcome to the party, guys. But yeah, I remember that, political correctness was the worst of it when I was in college and graduating from college. And this cancel culture wokeness, I remember reading somewhere, I don't remember exactly where, but somebody actually marked 2013 as the year, and I graduated in 2012. So it was really very interesting that, being freshly out of college, not really being politically active, and, kind of in my own world, because that's when I was, being a drug addict, to see how that when I came out of that and I did start paying attention, how different college kids in general actually were. It was
media. So I think a lot of people, they're looking at what happens when someone gets labeled a racist or sexist or whatever it is, and they're kind of weighing, is it worth kind of speaking out if it means that I'm going to lose my friend group? And I have had friends who are, I guess, no longer friends because of my beliefs. Is it worth being fired or having my job prospects, I guess, limited just to speak out?
Yes, it is. It is worth all of that, because when you stay quiet and you don't do anything, then they win. So yes, whatever, is it worth this, that. The fact of the matter is, all of that is in jeopardy, whether or not you say anything. Bailey said, imagine being an adult in a world where cancel culture didn't exist. Can't relate. Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, I was an adult. I was a college kid, but that's an adult. And yeah, you could just go around being reckless. And there was a self-correcting thing that if you were that crazy, that people wouldn't want to interact with you. It was just that, like, oh, that guy's a dick. That guy's a racist. That guy's a this. That guy's a that. I don't want to hang out with him. There was no overarching, oh, we need to take him out of the conversation because I don't like what he said. Like, come on. Camcast says, I got flack for hanging out with people who joined the Canadian military in college. My liberal friends were disgusted in me. What?
How dare you?
They were never your friends. They were never your friends.
Got about these issues, and I think a lot of people are saying, no, not really. I'll just keep my mouth shut. I'll just kind of go with the flow. But we see,
and how's that working out?
Where that's gotten us over the past few years.
Let me ask you, who were you in high school? Like 10th grade, 11th grade? Who was Lauren Chen in high school?
Ooh, I like this question. Guys. Who were you in high school? What, like in the, that scene in Mean Girls was the jocks and the this and the that. Who were you in high school? Let me know in the chat, replay gang, in the comments. Who were you in high school?
Cool.
Quiet. I was in the math club, played the flute and violin. So just a happening person.
Happening person.
As the kids say.
Partier.
So it's fair to say you were not part of the party animal, getting hammered.
Oh, actually, I skipped 10th grade also.
Right.
That should give you a little bit of an indication of what my social circle was.
Got it.
Yeah.
So were you like a 4.3 GPA type?
Painfully Asian, yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Painfully Asian. That's who Lauren Chen was. Guys, who were you in high school?
Shout out to the Tiger Moms out there.
That was not the first grade I skipped either. So
Really?
I also skipped 9.
So how old were you when you graduated?
From high school, it's
9 years old.
I didn't technically graduate high school because I was going back and forth through Canadian and American systems, but I finished with my bachelor's when I was 20. So
You finished with your bachelor's when you were 20.
Yeah, I love it. I haven't bragged about high school for so long. This is great.
It's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Zippy the Strange with the $6 PayPal. Let's see if we can get him here. I don't know if he's even gonna want it. Let's see. Does he want it? No, he doesn't want it, but it's here for you. Thank you so much. And of course, you know that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you. Oh, sir.
And you said earlier, nobody ever even offered you drugs. Like people looked at Lauren and they were like, nope, she's not doing blow.
She ain't cool enough.
She ain't doing blow.
We got
There's no hanging out with Hunter Biden. That's not gonna happen.
No, she's definitely not gonna be hanging out.
So
with
the reason why I asked that question from you is the following reason. So normally in school, you know who certain people are, and everyone's going to find each other. The party people are going to find each other. The complainers are going to find each other. The gangsters are going to find each other. The bodybuilders are going to find each other. The athletes are going to find each other.
Shout out again. Oh, where's it? There it is. To Zippy the Strange, the new sponsor of the stream. Opus said, I was a Magic the Gathering Star Wars book reading, cello playing nerd and proud. There you go. It was very interesting in my high school because the typical loser group is the band geeks. But there was a very prominent hardcore music, like metal, not like heavy metal, but hardcore scene in my school. So all of the band geeks were also in metal bands and hardcore bands. So that was a really cool thing. And it was specifically my class, not even just my school or my area. And I thought it was until I asked somebody. But you know, these types of things that I'm asking about, people typically, as you just said, find their groove. And we had loose cliques in my class, but everybody was, kind of intermingling with everybody else. And so when I would see stuff like Mean Girls, the jocks and the band geeks and the theater kids, and I thought it was like a complete just TV trope. And it's funny to see that no, actually it really was like that. And my high school, don't hate, we did it right. Camcast says, I was a sip in high school, big tour player and musician. There we go. So we're a musical bunch here. Bailey says, all A's, responsible student for sure, went downhill immediately after graduating. Well, didn't we all? Obi said, I was also friends with everyone. Were there mean kids? Sure. But I believe if you make any effort, everyone can have friends. If you expect friends to fall into your lap, then you are dumb.
Stupid.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you and I had a similar type of experience where there wasn't, and again, there was an aspect of this cliquey, high school nature. It was high school, but it was more, it just seemed a little bit more mature than what you see on TV. So shout out to those of you who were able to avoid the cliche of sticking to your clicking.
Christians are going to find each other. Everybody finds each other, right? So if you were who you were in high school, your friends that all of a sudden are saying, well, Lauren, you're being a little too extreme with the stuff that you're saying 7 years ago. Was it a surprise to them that your opinions were what they were?
I think so, because especially if we're talking about women have the tendency to be very agreeable. And I think when you're taking a position that's going against the mainstream, which if you are at all center, even center left nowadays is considered fringe or extreme. Oh, wow. That is an unpopular position. That is anti-establishment. And I think a lot of women, especially like the nice girls that I was hanging out with, I never would have thought of them as extreme or radical. But I think because they are so prone to that agreeableness, as Jordan Peterson would say, it's just a lot easier to go with it, to accept it, especially when you have these activists that are painting things like extreme feminism or the LGBT agenda as just being tolerant and accepting. They're going to look at anyone who speaks out against that as extreme, confrontational, bigoted, you name it.
And she's just describing what happens when you use semantic obfuscation when it comes to this stuff. Nick says, I was with the hippies, stoners, and outcasts. Shout out to you, whatever they want to call us. But having long hair and a beard made it so that people that didn't know me knew me as Jesus. Hey! We're kin, brother. We are kin. You're the hippie Jesus. I'm the Indian Jesus. That's very, very interesting. Good to see. Oh, we got one more from Bailey here saying, I think it was just a matter of finding every class super easy, so I never had to develop good study habits or anything. Same thing here. Even AP classes felt intuitive to me. Once I got to college, it changed. 100% same thing. Like, I think I studied for maybe one test in high school. I mean, like finals and stuff, but other, like, just like a regular test, I never had to study. I didn't have good grades because I didn't do homework, but I knew all the stuff. And so like Bailey's saying, when I went to college, even the first couple of years, I was still able to just, get by just paying attention and, half paying attention. But then that's when I was like, oh, I don't know how to study. I've never done it before. And so I definitely understand. Hippie Jesus Bear for Nick. There you go. Oba said, most of my class was pretty anti-establishment, but that was late 90s, and we already had a pretty good idea that what was going on in the Middle East was wrong, and Clinton was diddling interns. Yeah, I think the time in which you're in high school matters as well, but it's always interesting to see where people came from and what their journey is and how much they have or have not changed.
Yeah, it's crazy you say that. So we're in Bahamas this last weekend. We took a couple hundred people there. Vinny, one night, we laughed. You made us laugh for 3 hours straight. I had an ab workout by the time we were done that night. But we walk out of this restaurant, and this one guy comes. He says, you're the Twitter guy. Another guy comes. He says, you're the TikTok guy. I'm like, I'm the TikTok guy. I don't even know, so. But the Twitter guy that I'm talking to, I said, tell me why you're saying I'm the Twitter guy. So I see your Twitter. He said, you should have me on your podcast. The guy says this to me, good looking, successful. Middle Eastern, Jewish, wearing a $50,000 watch. And he says, you should have me on the podcast because we agree on a lot of things. I'd love to kind of tell them what's really going on. So why don't you have a podcast? He says, oh, no, I can't have a podcast. So why can't you have a podcast? He says, well, because, business is going to affect this. I said, you're the problem. You're the reason why America's where it's at. You are the problem. You are the problem. I just was talking with St. Michael in the Discord last night, and we were having what I thought was an interesting debate. And the problem is that I would love to be able to have the discussions up here, but I'm not talking to a picture. That's not enjoyable for you guys. And I mean, at least he's willing to speak out. But most people are just too scared. Those of you are the problem. Oh, come on. The absolute problem. And he grabs his wife comes over. These other two guys come over. Every one of them listens to you. So they know content, what we're doing, all this stuff. He says, yeah, he is. He's a pussy. He's scared. He's this, he's that. His friend is now joking with him, right?
Gotcha.
So I sat there and I said, so what are you scared of? Tell me actually what you're scared of. He says, well, what do I do? I mean, if I do in New York, I'm in New York. If I say anything, we're going to do this and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Well, that's exactly the issue, okay? The three communities that I keep talking. I had a great conversation with Dave Smith last week. We a phenomenal call together about the three communities. The lazy and scared Republicans are ruining America. The do your thing libertarians are ruining America. And the tolerant Christians are ruining America. These three communities.
Those three communities are ruining America. And I call myself a libertarian, but obviously I'm up here speaking out against the things that I don't like. Let's hear that again. That was
a phenomenal call together.
Shout out to Dave Smith.
About the three communities. The lazy and scared Republicans are...
Lazy and scared Republicans don't agree with all the woke BS, but they're lazy and they're scared, so they don't say anything.
Ruining America. The do your thing libertarians.
The do your thing libertarians essentially have a good philosophy as to how people should live, but they are idealistic. Remember, we talk about ideals and reality. That yes, it would be ideal if there was no government and everybody just went by the free market and the non-aggression principle and everything worked out fine. But that's not practical.
Are ruining America. And the tolerant Christians are ruining America. These three communities are all generally net positives to society.
That's true too. But the tolerant Christians now are subverting the values that actually gives Christianity the value that it has. Even though I personally don't believe in the truth claims, As I tell you guys all the time, I'm a very big fan of the values that come from Christianity. And so if you're a weak a Christian in the sense that you're too open and I just saw something where there's a church like, we know that the Jesus we pray to the Jesus that was non-binary, and like what is going on? That is not Christianity. Either do it or don't. And the reason that has to be called religion and Christianity is because, again, we don't have the space for something like an American structure of these are our values, these are our rituals, this is what we do. We don't have that to we don't have the space for that to build. Shout out to St. Michael. Speak of the devil. So Lauren Chen is a fake conservative. Bailey says, notice how all three groups are doing the same thing, giving too much room for the woke BS to take over. Bingo. Exactly. Spot on, Bailey. That is exactly what is the problem. The Jesus was trans argument. Yeah, I mean, have you guys seen this? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Woke church. Let's see. Come on. Yes. All right.
I invite you to
Bruh.
rise in body or spirit, and let us confess our faith today in the words of the Sparkle Creed.
Shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party. But I especially St. Michael. I mean, can we not agree? That this and Christianity should not be the same? Can we at least agree that this should not be considered Christianity?
I believe in the non-binary God, whose pronouns are plural. I believe in Jesus Christ, their child, who wore a fabulous tunic and had two dads, and saw everyone as a sibling child of God. I believe in the rainbow spirit, who shatters our image of one white light and refracts it into a rainbow of gorgeous diversity. I believe in the Church of Everyday Saints, as numerous, creative, and resilient as patches on the AIDS quilt, whose feet are grounded in mud and whose eyes gaze at the stars in wonder.
It's a lot creepier when it's not the prayers that you grew up with, right? But chanting prayers is exactly this.
I believe in the
just with better ideas.
Calling to each of us that love is love is love. So beloved, let us love. I believe, glorious God, help my unbelief. Amen.
Lutheran Church. A Lutheran church. Nick said, I think it's hell. Yeah, I mean, what is this? This is not helpful to anybody, because now all the people sitting there are like, yeah, I'm Christian. I'm a good person because Christianity is goodness, and they're the same thing. But this isn't that. So it's obfuscation. I'm telling you guys, it's the same thing.
They contribute to society. They don't take. But they're ruining America because they're sitting there saying, well, I don't want to kind of get my name called out. I'd rather just be quiet and not say anything about it, because what if the guy's like, what, my real estate business could take a hit. I say, your country could take a hit. Your kids could take a hit. You're worried about the real estate business. But then again, it's a real valid fear that a lot of people are having nowadays. But even a guy asked a question on the tweet. He says, Pat, I'm an executive. If you go to the other tweet prior to this, because this is a different tweet, go back one. Guy asked a question. Go a little lower. I think it's that one right there. Yeah. Guy asked the question. Go to the bottom on when the guy asked the question. Right there, my response to him. He says, Pat, I saw your thoughts on the podcast and completely agree. However, it is a risk for many of us to speak up. We have bosses who don't agree with us and bills to pay. What do you recommend to combat that?
So obviously, I mean, you could see what he wrote, but we'll get to that in a second. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. That it may be true, but those are excuses. Something really bad is taking over our country. So instead of fighting it, I'm going to protect what I think I can protect until the entire society. Not going to work.
I said, I totally understand there's risk for speaking out, but there's risk for staying silent. It's much bigger. However, there are creative ways for doing it. If you want to click on show more, you can create a pseudonym to write blogs, a fictional character, a burner account that speaks up, a community Twitter account that without revealing it, you kind of like lives up TikTok. There are many ways to push the envelope. The only thing I discourage you from doing is staying silent. So that's kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I finally did reveal my face and eventually my name, it was freeing. Honestly, it was. It's sort of scary because, all right, I can't really work a mainstream job in HR if people at my wiki page is calling me a white supremacist and all these terrible things.
So yeah, Opus, this is exactly why I respect I respect Muslims more than the average Christian, even though value-wise, I prefer Christianity over Islam. Because the fact is, if you are going to say that this is the inerrant word of God and then pick and choose which parts that you're going to pick, then you're not really doing anything except subjecting your morality to your own subjective experience.
White supremacists.
Yeah. White supremacy is very multiracial nowadays. Surprisingly diverse bunch.
Working out now, apparently, if you work out too much, well, yeah. But you know what? You actually, Pat left out a part. Not only were we at a dinner for 3.5 hours and we came out, that interaction with this group, especially with this guy, was like a 10 to 15 minute situation where he not even called them out. I mean, like an audience. It was like a town hall in the casino.
A shout out to Unwanted Foe for the $2 super chat for the St. Michael's Gay Lutheran Church. No, does he want it? He doesn't want it, but we're saving him up. I promise everyone he is going to get one. But let's be nice. Let's be nice. I appreciate the $2, but let's be nice to each other. We're all friends here.
And Pat wasn't being quiet. He was going in on him. He was seeing the light. And then his friends were showing up. Other people were showing up, recognizing Pat. And I think calling people out, Pat, was not only like a good thing. We need more people like that who, mind you, he has kids in the room. He has enough crap going on where taking that time out in the middle of a casino on vacation to Pat, it was pretty loud. Like, I think we need more of that where it's like, hey, listen, you're not doing your part. You're all freaking talking.
Valid.
All right. Can we be nice now?
Concern. It's a very valid concern.
It is.
So one, we have to understand the level of, like a guy calls from Hollywood saying, hey, Pat, I fully agree with what you're doing. Obviously, I can't talk about it because if I do, my community, I'm going to get hurt. I said, okay, career-wise. It's okay. He says, what should I do? I said, do you have a few money if you're in Hollywood? I don't. I said, what matters more to you? Is this a bigger cause in your life than your love for Hollywood? He says, that's something I got to battle with.
Exactly. That you do, in fact, have to battle with it. You have to determine, okay, what matters more? Me having this specific job, me, creating a barrier that isn't going to hold up, or actually doing my part to actually stop the things that we don't want happening.
I said, I totally get it. You got to do what you got to do. But nowadays, the movie, Sound of Freedom, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but I think you want to say something.
No, well, I just want to give you kudos, but also kind of give a little, I don't want to say pushback, but there's a different perspective. So I fully agree with what you're saying here about creating a pseudonym, or even if you don't feel comfortable putting yourself out there are avenues to express yourself. No doubt. I'd say one of the things I love about doing this is I get to talk my shit, right or wrong. I get to learn. I get to grow. I get to express myself. That's the beauty of doing podcasts. What's interesting, though, is I did a Manect call. Shout out to the team at Manect. Everything's going awesome there. I mean, the guys I'm speaking with.
Congrats on 300.
All right, we're not going to go down this road, but I do want to address this. St. Michael asks, what matters more, maintaining advertiser-friendly status or telling it like it is? And I believe maintaining advertiser-friendly status, because telling it like it is going to be me yelling into my empty condo if I don't follow the advertisers. So I can say 90% of what I actually want to say and actually get it out there, or I can say 100% of what I want to say to nobody. So yes, it is more important. Opus said, the Catholic Church has had a problem with priests and little boys for hundreds of years. I don't think we should go around pointing to the gay religion. Yeah, it's kind of simplistic to put it like that, right? Maybe we should talk more about what we actually believe people should do, the values that we actually believe in. Maybe.
100 Manex.
Can I get 2 more likes, guys? Just 2 more likes. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great. It's awesome. Connect with us on Manect.
Yeah.
PBD, Vincent, myself. Maybe we'll sign you up, Lauren. But I have a call with this guy in Manect. And the whole conversation was he was like, my business has taken a 50% drop because I express myself too much. I'd like to discuss with, this is the question. I'd like to discuss with you on Manect what you think I should do. I said, all right, we get on a call. It's a half-hour call. I'm not going to put his name or anything out there. I said, so tell me about your business. Well, I'm in San Francisco. I'm in the medical field, and I work with a lot of high-profile people. I mean, he said some names. When I say high profile, I mean very high profile. Like, you'll know the names. And he goes, you know, I'm a center right guy. I'm a MAGA guy. I'm a Trump guy, whatever. And he goes, in the medical field, I'm making $500,000 easily. And in the last year, my business has taken a 50% hit. He's like, now I'm making $250,000 a year just because the people that I surround myself with caught wind of my political beliefs, and they've like 1, 2, 3, the names went out there.
It's a valid question.
And I said, like, wow, let me process this with you. And I said, let me ask you something, bro. Do you have any political aspirations? No.
Nope.
Do you have any interest in doing a podcast or anything like that? Zero. I go, then why are you pushing the envelope so much? Because it's costing you $250,000 a year. He goes, that's exactly what I'm grappling with right now. I want to say what's on my mind, but it's literally costing me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I go, but hold on, back up a second. Where do you live? San Francisco.
That's the problem.
I'm
That's
like,
the problem.
are you planning on moving your business at all?
Nope.
No. Like,
Just want to sit around and complain. That's it.
this is where I'm at. I go, then I don't know what you want me to tell you, bro, but is voicing your opinion worth $250,000 a year? Only you can answer that. He goes, yeah, not really. But I'm glad, this is circling back. I'm glad that you brought up alternative options that people can do. Yes, it's sad that if you express your thoughts and your beliefs, you could literally get canceled.
Hey, shout out to Dietrich. Welcome, Dietrich, to the party. Said dicks out for Harambe. Kiss the homies goodnight. What? Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome to the party, brother.
Or lose clients, or lose jobs, or lose money. But that's the risk that we're at these days.
But is it sad though? Because that's where I'm at. I mean, obviously I'm speaking from a position of privilege where I get to, like you said, speak my mind, and I have people who support me. But if you're in this position, do you want clients who would otherwise hate your guts if they knew what you actually believe? Do you want to work for someone who thinks that you're this terrible person who's destroying the country? Do you?
Yes, I have no issue with that. As long as we can all get along, your money, whether you think that, a man can transform into a female, your money is still as good to me. As long as we can all get along, I don't care what you think. We just need to be able to keep society moving. And right now, that's not happening because everybody's so focused on being right and shouting down people that they disagree with. Just have different opinions. It's fine.
You want friends who are only your friends because they actually agree with you, because there are rich clients this guy could have in Nashville, in Florida. He doesn't have to be there. And likewise, if you are someone who's wanting to do something to contribute to, a little bit of the normalization of politically uncomfortable ideas.
To be fair to Lauren, she wasn't using it as an excuse. She was kind of undercutting what she was saying. So she was using it to lessen what she was saying, not to bolster what she was saying. But I definitely agree.
We should all be investing and spending money with people who share our values. We should stop supporting financially people who hate us or who are trying to trans our kids, like with Target or Bud Light.
So that's the other side of the coin, is that because it's not the case that we are able to get along in society the way we want to, that we do need to vote with our dollars. And we do need to make sure we're not giving money to people that hate us. Because it's not the ideal world that we wish we had, where even though you think this and I think that we don't hate each other. Fact is, they do hate you.
Because I think what we're finding increasingly is that for the longest time, things have only gone one way. It's only people who are against the left that are afraid to speak out. The left doesn't have that same shame.
Well, they have the establishment support behind them. Shout out to Mike W. Welcome to the party. Said we can have different opinions. But the problem is now we have different facts. Yeah. My truth. My truth is that Jesus was binary and looked fabulous in a tunic.
What?
That's not going to work. Welcome to the party, brother. Indie Film said, I went on a date the other day and I told the girl that her hair was as lovely as the patches on the 8th quilt.
What?
I don't get it. Maybe that one went over my head. Opus said, we need to vote Dems out before we end up in World War III. I've got some sad news for you, Opus. We are already in World War III. It's here. Oh, an AIDS joke? Okay. I don't get it. Sorry. Nick says, I hate them all equally. Kidding. I don't hate easily. But Christians are the only people that have ever treated me badly. That's another good point as well. I don't get a lot of hate from Muslims. I don't get a lot of hate from Hindus. I don't get a lot of hate from Jews. I get hate from Christians. And so I respond to Christians. And exactly as Nick is saying, my entire family is Christian. So that was what created a lot of, I don't want to say trauma. Like that's another cringe thing. But a lot of the BS in my life came directly from the church. And so that's why, for me personally, it's what I focus on. Oh, on in the prayer. Gotcha. You know, guys, I'm a slow sometimes. You gotta bear with me.
Celebrities who will tweet the most radically left-wing things imaginable. They're still in movies. They're still in Disney and Marvel, whatever. But I mean, someone like Gina Carano says something that could potentially be a little bit critical of, I think it was COVID stuff. She's fired immediately. Is that fair? No, that's not fair. So we need to start, enforcing the fact that we have our own values. We're not going to be ashamed of them. We're going to support people with like minds. If that means moving, maybe that's what you have to do. So many people are doing that now because I think a lot of people are just tired of being afraid all the time.
By the way, it's a very valid conversation. A lot of people are having it. That's great feedback. But there's a couple things to be thinking about. So one is like, okay, so if I'm living in San Francisco and I want to stay there, like this guy wants
for
to stay
some
there.
reason, I might add.
Well, that's where
like,
his
what do you
business
want
is.
to?
Yeah.
Okay, but
The feces in the street. It's
Laziness. Just, well, it's easier to just stay here.
quaint.
Yeah.
It's very quaint. It's very romantic when
amazing.
you're going out with your
Yeah.
wife. And, oh, babe, I stepped in it. What a beautiful
Oh,
thing, babe. Just the
love this
smell in the
idea.
car.
I guess to be clear, he's in Silicon Valley, which is what,
So,
a half
yeah.
hour outside
Yeah.
of
Silicon Valley. I got you. So
Silicon.
So to go through this, he's right. It is a deeply concerning thing. But by the way, that doesn't mean that's not the reason why America is in shambles today. That also doesn't mean that. It means guys like him who are afraid to address conversations like this are the reason why the other side is able to get so much agenda. So the whole concept is, what are we intolerant towards? Again, I pray for 4 things: courage, wisdom, tolerance, understanding. I'm having a hard time with the third one, right? Because it's be tolerant, be tolerant, be tolerant.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with tolerance right now. And then you see Dave Smith tells me about a quote by von Mises.
Shout out to Von Mises of the Mises Caucus. When are they going to announce who they are putting up for president? I would love to be able to know if it's reasonable for me to put my vote into the Libertarian Party. Because while there's no chance that 2024 is going to see a Libertarian president, there is a chance that enough people back the Libertarian Party that by the time it comes to the general election, that we could say, all right, hey, we'll throw our weight behind you if you do this, that, and that. Or we'll throw your weight behind you if you don't do this, that, or whatever. And they haven't announced yet. I don't know what they're doing. I know Dave Smith, or a lot of people want Dave Smith to run. I don't think he wants to, but they got to put somebody. They got to put somebody up. Mises Caucus just took over the Libertarian Party with Angela McArdle, and they have a lot of good that they can do, whether or not they win general elections. But they got to do it. Dietrich says, I'm right when I'm right. I'm right when I'm wrong. You're wrong because I'm not. Narcissism is fun, especially when you don't have morals or compassion. Gets us nowhere fast. Yeah. Well said. Well said.
He says, can you pull up the tweet just the tweet right there that you had? Go back to it and go all the way to the top of the tweet. Not that one, the other one. Go all the way to the top of the tweet. Yeah, right there. If you can, there's a quote right there that
set
says,
up the tweets beforehand.
Right there. Classic liberalism must be intolerant of every sort of intolerance.
Classical liberal must be intolerant of every sort of intolerance. classical must be intolerant of every sort of intolerance. I don't agree with that. I'm intolerant of PDF files, but that should be tolerated. Come on. What the hell just happened? Are you guys getting stoned at this? Oh, struggle streaming. Oh, okay. Hold on. Hold up. Struggle streaming. Sorry about that. Okay, take 2. Oh, come on. We might have to do a restart. All right, get your questions in. We are doing a restart. Okay. All right. Give me 2 seconds here. All right. Oh, that didn't leave. Okay. Well. All right. Let's go to questions. Where am I? Sorry, guys. Give me a second here. Why isn't it showing the thing? Oh, because I'm not. Okay. Well, whatever. All right. You're gonna have to stick with me here. All right. Where were we? Opus says it's worse. The left hides behind false compassion. Facts. The whole thing about the being wanting to have it fix race relations or do the perfect example is the voter ID thing. That they hide behind the idea that they want to make it easier for Black people to vote, but in the process, they are saying, "Oh, there we go." In the process, they are saying that Black people are lesser than, and they need to help you. Mike says, if I opened a hot dog stand on the street in California, if I open a hot dog stand on the street in California, but they let homeless stay on the streets living there, like you would have to pay all these fines and everything, and yeah, that's some BS. All right, we're started up. Give me 2 seconds here. They are trying to take me out, guys. They are trying to take me out. All right, we are coming back in. Double. And let's take a little look at my boy, Morty here. Hi, Morty. Boom. All right. Hopefully that was the end of the issues. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Let's do that and that and that and that and that and that. All right. Let's back it up a second. Sorry about that.
The quote
guys.
right there that says,
Thank you so much.
Right there. Classic liberalism must be intolerant of every sort of intolerance.
What?
I have to tell you, I've been grappling with many different words in my life. Why are we lazy? Well, I finally realized why people are lazy. Your life is boring. When we're bored, we are lazy. So you don't want to have a boring life. Make your life exciting by constantly having stuff to do. So these things you ask questions of, right? This one here, you have to be tolerant. Christians, we got to be tolerant. Bullshit. You can't be tolerant towards intolerance. If you're going to be intolerant to me, who the hell are you to think I'm going to sit there and take it from you? So the concept of intolerance, we must be intolerant to intolerance. Even for some of the Christian community on the bottom where it says your eyes are too pure to look on evil, you cannot tolerate wrongdoing. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent with the wicked? Swallow up the more righteous than themselves. The whole thing he's talking about is why are you letting these wicked people take advantage of weak people?
All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. All right. the miracle. Unwanted Foe said every sort of intolerance. So classical liberals can't be tolerant of each other. That's where it ends up. Opus said, I don't think liberalism and tolerance are exactly the same thing. Definitely not. There is absolutely things that we don't tolerate, just like that we shouldn't tolerate. So I'm not sure I understand where exactly the context of that is, but maybe they'll get into it. Have fun, Dan. Thank you for coming by, brother. Make sure you like the video if you haven't already. Thank you, brother.
standing in the streets, I see a person being bullied. I can do something about it. No. I don't want to ruin my career, because what if I save that lady and then the cop comes and arrests me? So let him beat the wife up. It's okay. I'm just going to mind my own business. That's a coward in a way, right?
Well, I don't think tolerance is a virtue at all, actually. It is certainly not a Christian virtue. If you look at the New Testament, you don't really see Christ saying, it's okay, I'm just going to accept this. No, he speaks his mind. He makes a very clear delineation between right and wrong. God, the Old Testament, certainly not one for tolerance. So the idea that this is a virtue, something we should strive toward, I disagree. And it's the same thing with blanket concepts like diversity. We're supposed to believe tolerance is inherently good, diversity is inherently good just because, but no, they've provided no moral framework as to why those things should be something we strive for. We're supposed to just accept it without question.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Well, hold on.
And she nailed it, Pat, because think about it. The left, the other side, does not give a damn. They're not. They don't give, and nothing happens to them. So Pat, and I've always said this. It's time for us to be like, you know what? Enough is enough.
And I think we've already started doing that, thankfully. And the fact that is happening, starts out with the there were smaller things, but really culminated with the Bud Light boycott, and then followed through to Target, and normal people are starting to see this is going too far. I've been letting this go too far. Omi said there's a lot of things that I think are bad for society, but you have to weigh it on a scale of, is it bad enough to tell someone they can't do it? Exactly. This is, this is pretty much exactly what St. Michael and I were talking about last night of, reasons to ban something. Just because you don't like something, is that enough to ban it? Or what is the reason that you are banning things? And if you are going to ban something for X reason, then anything that qualifies for X should also be banned. And, we're not going to get all into it, but absolutely, I don't agree with that quote at all. I wish we had a little bit more context, but
open your mouth. If you have to punch people in the face, I mean, they're doing it. What we're supposed to just...
No. That's a line I'm not going to cross. We have the better ideas. So unless you are attacked, then going to resorting to violence is losing the argument.
Sit back and take it.
I have one thing to say about that. So here's a part. Is it fair to say there's certain people in America that they're going to vote Democrat, even if your argument makes sense? They're never going to
100%.
Is it fair to say there's certain people in America they're going to vote Republican no matter what? You can't say anything to them?
100%.
Okay, so the truth is right for both sides. Okay. So who are...
No, my truth.
We really trying to talk to? That becomes a question.
The independents.
If you're trying to talk to the undecided, the independent, the libertarian, the green, whatever the community that's in the middle, the 12%, you have to figure out a way how to communicate with them. So if this guy's talking about this, I know a lot of people that will come and say, well, let me tell you something, fuck this, and skills. Yeah, you're not converting anybody. The ability to communicate a message as well to somebody saying, I never thought about it, thought about that before.
It's not just enough to be right. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to understand why other people have different opinions, and you have to understand where those opinions come from so that you can articulate why they are the incorrect opinions and why your opinion is better.
You can do it simply by questioning. You can do it simply by saying, you know what, John? I don't know if public school was like this. When you and I went to public, was it like this before? I just don't remember being like this. The other day, my kid went to school and they did this. What do you think about it? That is a very open, you're not bashing anybody to start a conversation. And the other person can say, yeah, you know what? My wife was saying the same thing. The same thing happened with us the other day. Kids going to school. And I thought that was kind of weird. I'm a Democrat. I'm like, why do I do that? It's a little bit concerning. I'm starting to hear this. And those are the ways. Hey, don't you think it's kind of weird? Like, look, I don't mind taking a vaccine. I've taken a ton of vaccines. But don't you think it's a little bit weird that, they want pro-choice to do whatever I want to do with my body, which fine. That's a interesting argument. I get that as a person that wants to do whatever they want to do with their body. But isn't it kind of weird that they want to be pro-choice there, but they want to be pro-force when it comes down to the vaccine?
That's because there's no values. It's not about what they value. It's not about here's the value and we should apply that. It's just, I like this thing. I don't like that thing. That's all it is. Dietrich said the irony of the progressive left is that they want to make progress, but it's like looking for input on a new business proposal, and your business partner is a 6-year-old that said we should go peeper in the girls' room, dress up like them, and make fun of them. I mean, we should, yeah. I mean, it's just as ridiculous of a situation you could come up with. It's worse. It's worse. I don't understand how we got here. Nick says, this is America. As long as you're not harming anyone else, you have a right to live the way you want. You are free to the pursuit of happiness. The problem is that now people want to, in their pursuit of happiness, they want to impede your pursuit of happiness. But they believe that it's justified because they believe dogmatically that they are more moral than you are.
It's a little weird, ain't it? It's a way you open up the conversation at workplace instead of just saying, these morons, these motherfuckers, blah, blah. That's also not going to work. So a part of your friend that you spoke to on Manect could also be the delivery of the message. The delivery of the message is just as important, if not even more important than the point you're trying to make. You may be right, but your delivery is so bad that you push the person away from whatever argument you were trying to make to them. There's a lot of people on social media, and I'll push back on your what you just said a little bit on one of the points. It's easy for us to just go hang out with each other where we agree with each other. It's very safe to do that. You ain't doing nothing special. You're not doing what these great leaders did in the past. We're just sitting there talking to each other, and we all agree, hey, let's just go talk to people. Hey, Pat, why don't you come on this platform? Everybody agrees with you. I don't want to go to a platform where everybody agrees with me. I want to go on a platform where people don't agree with me.
Exactly. So I think they go through this a little bit longer. We're going to jump ahead so we can get into the juicy stuff.
The less things you are willing to tolerate.
Yeah, you're a little more set in your way.
Which, by the way, some could say that's a good thing.
Let's hear that. Let's hear that.
But I shouldn't get married.
My department
but by the way, I mean, the argument can be, well, you shouldn't get married because of divorce. They take half of what you got. And this America is all about the woman. I get that. What I'm trying to tell you is the older you get, the less things you are willing to tolerate.
Yeah, you're a little more set in your way.
Which, by the way, some could say that's a good thing. But if you're alone by yourself, but you want to be in a family and have kids, guess what? You are a little bit too intolerant to too many things.
Sounds like he's talking about the modern woman and really just modern dating in general. We know that it's both sides, but really the women. Nick says, that's why we have the Constitution. Now we just need to enforce it.
Bingo.
You got to kind of pick what your non-negotiables are. It's the only thing I'm talking about. I want to go to some of the other.
I want to give you credit for one thing.
Go for it.
Okay, this is it. The reason that I respect PBD so much is a conversation we talked about one of our first handful of podcasts. And it came down to the concept of being a leader and specifically being a sales leader. All right, you do the SLS, the Sales Leader Symposium, Sales Leader Summit every year. We were having a conversation, was debate, and you go, hold on, I'm sorry, Adam. What's the most amount of people you've ever led? I was like, well, maybe like my sales team is like 4 or 5 guys, and I was a camp counselor as a kid. I was 50 people. You're like, nice try, buddy. Try being the sales leader, sales manager for tens of thousands of people. And that put my whole narrative in perspective. And that's what I give PBD so much credit for. Speaking.
I don't care about you. Let's go.
The way
listening to what you have to say versus someone who's leading 10 people.
And by the way, again, if you and I wanted to be intolerant to say you're a governor, say you're a president, say you're a leader of a military, oh my God, one, you're miserable if you have a long list of things to be intolerant to. It's just things are not going to get done, and everybody else is going to be walking on eggshells all the time. So let's go into some stories. By the way, Jonah Hill's text. Did you guys see Jonah Hill's text?
Yes. All right, so now we're getting to some of the stuff that's been going on in the last a few weeks that, like I said, I've been talking about on the daily videos. So definitely check out every single day I put out a video. But with you guys, the longer stuff, usually I like to dig into the concepts. But fortunately, we got some of this here.
Did you see Jonah Hill's text?
Yes, I did.
Do you want to go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Bring up Jonah Hill's text.
Okay.
You said red pill.
Going here.
The only reason I went there is
offended.
because she said red pill. No, I want your thoughts. So if you want to pull up Jonah Hill's text, and this is Adam. You didn't even know I was going to bring this up.
No,
she
not
said,
at all.
I said, let me bring it up. So here's Jonah Hill's ex sharing sharing text that they had together publicly, which is obviously a very noble thing to do. And many guys, of course, want to date her after she shares texts of her ex with everybody. Here's a text that Jonah sent to her. Plain and simple. If you need surfing with men, boundary-less, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post sexual pictures, friendship with women who are in unstable places, and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful, I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it, and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnership. My boundaries with you based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust. When you read this.
So this is, if you haven't heard at all, this is a message that the girl that was going out with Jonah Hill leaked from the time they were together. And to me, this sounds absolutely like you can't do this any better. These are my boundaries. This is my qualifiers to be part of a relationship. If you're not down with that, I respect that, but I'm not going to be involved. But she had a whole thing about misogyny and abuse and this and this and that. So we're going over it. So I'm going to keep that up for a while. Yeah, so I got a poll now going, was Jonah Hill right or was Jonah Hill wrong? Replay gang, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, so, and she just went on the attack, and all of Twitter was like, how dare you, do this? There was one TikTok therapist who was saying that he was manipulating her by using the word boundaries when these aren't boundaries because they're controlling her. But I'm pretty sure saying you can't sleep with other men because we're in a monogamous relationship is a boundary that refers to what you are doing. So I don't see anything wrong with this. Now, I wouldn't care if she would, I had a girl and she was a professional surfer and there was men there that she was surfing with. Boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, no go. To model, like, again, are these like actual modeling gigs? Or are we talking about just putting stuff on Instagram? The next one is to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit. That's kind of wimpy. Beta. I mean, I wouldn't love it either, but not a deal breaker. Especially if you started out liking some of those pictures. And then friendships with women who are unstable places and from your wild recent past beyond getting lunch or something. Basically, just saying, yo, these girls, it sounds like she has said that these girls are the reason that I used to do certain things and I no longer do those things. And Jonah doesn't want her hanging out with them because of that stuff. And so I think that's all kosher. I don't know if I would necessarily have the same boundaries, but everybody's allowed to have their own boundaries. Unwanted Foe said her timing of when she released this text is sus as hell. Yeah, it was like 2 years. It was 2 years ago, right? And I think didn't Jonah Hill just get someone pregnant or something like that? It was just the most catty BS. Like, why? St. Michael said, I would compare sleeping with Jonah Hill to licking the floor of a spank booth at a smut shop. Both are disgusting AF, and the nastiest people would do it. Well, you've thought about sleeping with Jonah Hill a lot more than I have.
What do you say?
I could not imagine a more reasonable sentiment from a boyfriend. Not only that, but he communicated very, very clearly and very sensitively, I felt. He's essentially saying, this is what I expect in a relationship. You are currently not meeting those standards. If you want to keep going on the way you're going, that's totally fine. People have accused him of being controlling. He is not telling her what to do. He is simply saying, I will not be a part of it. And guess what, women, we are not entitled to have a boyfriend, to have a certain man's time. He is just setting, I thought, very reasonable boundaries. I know in this social media age, it's for some reason controversial to say, hey, you probably shouldn't be posting thirst traps. I would say that, period, but especially if you're in a relationship. So to see people calling Jonah Hill abusive for this, I was really surprised.
Yeah, people are not just saying like, oh, this is controlling. Abusive. They are using the word abuse. Which, yet again, semantic obfuscation. So now you can claim victimhood because you're in an abusive relationship when that is what you're calling abuse.
Expecting something really juicy, outrageous when I open the text, and then it's just Okay. Okay.
Lauren, you hit the nail on the head here, is that you're expecting something so much worse than this.
And I was excited for it. I
You're
wanted
like, all right,
it.
Jonah's a woman beater. Let's find it.
Yeah.
And even if you look
No.
on page 6 of the New York Post, that he's been labeled a misogynist.
Oh God.
Abusive, actually.
Yeah,
Abusive.
Well, emotional abuse is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Here's the actual deal. You hit the nail on the head when you said boundaries, and also another word for boundaries is preferences. And this is the difference between men and women today. Women have no problem, and they are not lambasted or been made fun of or ashamed for when they say they have preferences. Well, what are the preferences all women want?
6 feet tall, 6-inch dick, 6-figure salary.
I want a man that's 6 foot, makes 6 figures. I want him to be nice with my mother. I want him to have puppies. I want him to treat me right. I want him to pay on the first date. I want him to, be fun, be outgoing, have a good network. There's a checklist that women want. But when guys are like, here's my checklist.
How dare
don't
you?
be a hoe.
Put your tits away.
That's about it.
Don't do thirst traps all over the internet. I preferences, if you don't have a bunch of guy friends that you're hanging out with, and actually just be a respectful person and don't put your shit out there. Oh my God, he's an emotionally abusive person. He's a misogynist. It's such bullshit.
Controlling.
I have a question though. Was she like this before this happened, or all of a sudden she started dating
here's
Pat?
the other part
Good
of the
job,
text. It's
Zubin.
interesting
Oh, yeah.
because he says 25.
Okay,
He
go
says,
ahead.
You're right. We can't do serve social things or develop trust until you consider me and make decisions that give regard to our relationship. I have been vulnerable as possible, and I am telling you, I am needing you to step up to the plate, which you can. I'm sure of it, but these losers don't get your time if you want me. Straight.
So this is still Jonah, and by these people, according to her, she said by these people, he meant any friend of mine that he hadn't personally approved of. But this goes right to what he was saying on the list, friends from your past who are unstable. So it sounds like a bunch of slores who belong to the streets, and she was hanging out with them, and then they got together, and it's like, hey, I don't want you doing that anymore.
Straight up, it's consideration. I respect your love for surfing, but I respect myself as well. And your love of surfing and being in those situations and lack of awareness are not mutually exclusive. This, by the way, the guy, what a very well-spoken guy.
Yeah. He seems
Does he have an editor?
Dietrich says, strong women are amazing, but to view yourself as the only value in the overall fulfillment of a life is the most unattractive trait that will bite women in the ass when they hit late 30s alone with no kids. Yep. Hitting the wall is not going to be fun. And I agree, Opus. He seemed pretty adult about it. Like, what else is he supposed to do? And I mean, not a nice person. Not a nice person to do this, especially with the timing. If you really thought it was that bad, we got 83% of you saying that Jonah was in the right. If it was really that bad, why did you need to wait 2 years? And then, of course, we can get into the conversation of, okay, well, then there are actually women being abused by people. And if they want to come out, then you're just the latest in a line of people, starting way before Amber Heard, but certainly on that list, that makes us justifiably not want to believe women when they say this kind of stuff.
Really intelligent.
He's an editor in chief.
I don't
This
think
is
he's
like-
acting
this is actually
here. I think this
ChatGPT.
is him.
This isn't me. I have my own issues that I own. God, I love that. If you want marriage and family, you can't use the 25 card. Step up and cut shit. These people don't get your time or your kindness at the sacrifice of mine.
So he's saying, don't pull this 25-ish, meaning she probably was like, well, I'm only 25 and I still like going out to the club and whatever. And he's just saying, no, grow up. Like, I don't want to be part of this. And St. Michael is saying, I mean, when Jonah Hill is the moral compass of your relationship, you're a nasty person. I hate to say it, but I said he was in the right. And I mean, that's why we call it as it is. It doesn't mean you have to say that you think that Jonah Hill is an upstanding person. It doesn't mean that you have to say Superbad is your favorite movie. But we can look at the situation and judge it for the situation.
Guys,
that seems very emotionally intelligent.
I love
He's
Jonah.
communicating very clearly.
Yes. By the way, do you know this is not recent? Do you know that he just had a baby with another woman?
Yeah, well,
a month ago.
In my
Yeah.
opinion, that is somewhat of the reason behind the leaked text.
Correct.
Exactly.
So
She's jealous.
apparently, she waited. This woman right here, Sarah Brady, waited until the new.
Okay.
Mother of his child, his first child.
Is that the ex?
I believe so.
That's the ex. Well,
She
some
waited-
people from the LGBTQ community could say that Jonah's shown too much cleavage.
Way too much.
It looks
man.
great
Really?
there,
Is that a
actually.
pirate ship on
But
his chest?
the point is, she waited until the new baby mama had a child out of respect to the woman. Now, you might say, why the fuck are you even putting these texts out there
Yeah.
a year later, right? To expose Jonah Hill. In my opinion, she's only exposing herself. Because if she actually made some of these concessions, she could be Jonah Hill's baby mama, wife, whatever. But he found someone that actually was willing to work within his framework and his boundaries.
And good for Jonah. Good for Jonah. Whether or not he looks like whatever he looks like, the fact that he was able to maintain his frame, at least for the ability to, number one, say that, and then two, stick with it and say, okay, I'm out then. And then to be able to go find somebody else, that's all we want. That's all men want, is just a peaceful woman. Dietrich says, I can't stand Jonah Hill, though. He basically handed over the right to oppression rights from Jews on a silver platter to African Americans with that trashy SJW simp movie he made recently. He's a cut. What movie is that? What movie are you talking about? I'm not familiar.
Where she's out there just still surfing and being by herself. And this is essentially the problem with modern day women, is they're not even willing to listen to a good guy's requests.
By the way, what Jonah is sharing with her are his non-negotiables. That's all it
Yes.
is.
Correct.
Hey, these are my non-negotiables.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to have non-negotiables, aka preferences, if you're a man.
If you're cool with it, I'd love to make you my wife. Let's have family together. Let's have kids together. But I'm not compromising here.
Yeah, shout out to Kanye for really being able to understand the plight of the Jewish community through Jonah Hill.
That's a perfect example of somebody that can reason, talk, deliver his message, but at the same time not compromise his non-negotiables. You got to respect him for it.
The problem is that he's not supposed to have non-negotiables. He's not supposed to have boundaries when it comes to the behavior of his girlfriend, because feminism, she should be able to do whatever she wants.
Whatever she wants,
Whatever
Laura.
Oh, you people. I think I feel like I remember hearing about this. I don't remember if I saw it. And if it was that woke and BS, I probably just skipped it. But I wanted to post a favorite Jonah Hill movie is Accepted. I just watched this last week, but I still got to go with Superbad. Maybe because it was the movie that came out, right after I graduated high school. And there's always like a seniors graduating from high school movie coming out. There was American Pie and all these other ones, but Superbad was my movie, and I just have a special place in my heart for McLovin. The trailer, can we do? We'll do that in Discord. I'm scared of copyright.
she wants.
He
and
can't have
everybody
any
else-
standards whatsoever.
No,
Take
hell
it or
no.
leave it, buddy.
And I think regarding your question of was she doing this before, there are people who were saying, well, if she was posting these photos before they got into a relationship, he should have known what he was in for. I think that's a good point. I mean,
No, it's not. It's not a good point at all. If you're acting as a single person, it's fine as long as you are a single person. When you go from single person to someone in a monogamous relationship, the behavior that is deemed appropriate changes. Uber said, I'm not a fan, but he did nothing wrong in all those messages to his girlfriend. Agreed.
men, if you're at a club, I've been to one once. It was not an enjoyable experience for me. But if you're looking at
One
a girl,
club in your life?
it was not good. I did not have a good.
But you're
time.
saying you've only been to one club in your entire life?
Yeah, and it was for a
Alright.
work event. It was weird.
Yeah, you don't want to go to a club with your work friends. You want to go with your boys or your crew or whatever. And I mean, I'm 33 now, so I'm not going to any clubs. But certainly in my 20s, I mean, clubs are fun. I don't know what to tell you. Opus said, delete your thirst trap Instagram if you want the serious relationship. That is a huge red flag for all men. We might like it. That doesn't mean it's not a red flag. Dietrich said, a message can be invaluable, even if the speaker is worthless. That's a bar right there, Dietrich. A message can be invaluable, even if the speaker is worthless. Well said. Well said.
Anyway.
You need to get out more there, Lauren Chen.
I'm comfortable with the amount I get out.
Are you 30 yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, gotcha. You're still young.
But thank you. A lot of people online disagree. But if you because it's like I'm past 25. That's like, you know.
Oh, your SMV
Too
is
old.
down the hill, young lady.
Exactly. But if
Yeah, what is the age range that you guys put? And again, replay gang, I'm kind of disappointed in you. I'm not getting answers to any of these questions. What is the age range that you put on your dating profile? For me, at 33, I put 23, I think, 23 to 29. What do you guys put?
if you're a guy and you're looking at a girl at a club and she's dressed provocatively and you like the way she looks, that's fine. You can be attracted to her, but don't be surprised when she's not wife material, because I think for a lot of men, what they're not understanding, and for a lot of women too, is that there's a difference between being interested in someone physically and maybe for a hookup versus an actual long-term relationship. So maybe Jonah Hill wasn't thinking with the right part of his body there when he got into a relationship with her. But also, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect someone to act differently in a relationship than out of a relationship.
Exactly.
I don't think that's crazy.
Well, people do.
Unwanted Foe said he goes 25 to 33. And you're how old? Yeah, put your age and what your age range is. Because obviously if you're 18, then I don't expect you to be putting 35-year-olds. But I think we all typically have the same kind of range, maybe just a little bit varied based on our age.
Don't change. I actually had a conversation with a good buddy
People
of mine.
Don't change.
Who's a full-on Orthodox rabbi living in Jerusalem when I was there in Israel, 7 kids. And I'm like, what's up, dude? He's like, dude, I'm the same guy. He's like, now I've changed like 10%. I mean, this was a surfer dude, wild party guy, Miami, who had a situation in his life where he needed to make a change.
Enough.
He goes, but I'm still the same person. So maybe you change 5%, 10%, a little bit. People don't do complete 180s. So if he's
especially not overnight.
For sure.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. It is very, very, very rare that people do change, but people absolutely can change. We see it not all the time, but there's a number of examples. I mean, I used to be a degenerate drug addict, and now I just smoke a little bit of weed to go to sleep. It's not a huge transformation, but and it definitely didn't happen overnight. But people do change. Zippy says Zippy has a quandary. I'm slow for the young ones and too unstable for the old ones. Keep working on it, buddy. You got it. St. Michael said he's right. People don't do 180s overnight. Certainly not overnight. Certainly not overnight. For me, with the drugs, it definitely took a number of years and a lot of conscious, deliberate work. So I don't think people just up and change out of nowhere. But definitely, if you take the time and the energy to focus on, these are my problems, I want them to change, and I'm going to do something about it. People change all the time. Nick says for his dating profile, he said he's almost 44, but he would go for 30 to 45-ish. Hard to say. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Oba said sleeping is a major problem for people in recovery. Totally can relate. Oh yeah. I still have trouble sleeping. Let's not even go there. It's a whole thing.
Arguably ever major life changes. So the point is, if she's this surfer girl that's already doing this, maybe she'll change a little bit. She's not going to completely do a 180 on her complete lifestyle.
But I don't think that's even what he was asking. It seemed like she was, being this much, she was giving this much thottery, and then they got in the relationship, and he's just like, can you tone it down to like here? That's what it sounded like to me. And maybe I'm wrong. We don't know what the relationship actually was like. Maybe there was a lot that led up to that. And maybe he was specifically using all this therapy, emotionally intelligent speech to manipulate her. Maybe. But probably not.
Just like if I'm like, hey, do you want to go out to a club, Lauren? It's like, maybe you'll go once, but you're not going to go turn into like a party rat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
You think people change exponentially?
No. What do you...
People can. People don't change, but people can change.
Listen.
Opus says, I'm 40 and wouldn't date anyone under 33, probably up to 45. Wow. Okay. Fair enough.
Yes. dramatic, dude. I changed not 10%, bro. Me at 19 years old versus me at 26 years old. It's not a little bit of change. It's night and day what my habits had to do.
Okay.
It all depends on what life you're if you're sick of the life that you got and you want to move on, which Jonah's going and getting therapy and sitting down with people, figuring out a way to how to live his life. He's being in Hollywood. You probably partied with so many people. God knows what rooms you've been in, with what types of people, with how many women, with what hasn't he experienced. So what happens at one point? Like, dude, I don't want this life. I actually want to have a family. I actually want to have somebody.
And I many of us go through that same thing. It's just part of growing up. And a lot of people don't, which is why we see that a lot of people don't change, and people may grow a little bit. Like, that's the natural thing, is that you grow and mature a little bit. But can people change? Absolutely, people can change. It's just not as common as we'd like. Nick said, sleep is boring. I'll have time for that when I'm dead. Hell no. Sleeping is my favorite activity. Only seconded to hanging out here with you guys. The only thing that I enjoy more than this is being unconscious. Dietrich says, I used to smoke every day being a stay-at-home dad. Stop cold turkey. Now I have a great job rescuing hardcore addicts. Yeah. When I retire, I will go back to smoking. The circle of my life. Fair enough. Well, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Because as somebody who's been an addict, I was lucky enough that I was conscientious enough about about it the entire time, knowing that, like, okay, I need an exit plan. And I was able to work on that. But a lot of people can't. A lot of people fall into it. A lot of people don't know the deal that they're making with the devil when they start, and they need people like you. So shout out to Dietrich. Unwanted Foe said, don't put yourself into situations that increase the likelihood of men hitting on you. Horrible to request common sense. How dare you, right? I mean, why wouldn't I want my girlfriend getting hit on by other people? Because you're insecure. Who hurt you? Open said, most of you in this chat would probably have a hard time finding women under 30 who share your views. Just saying. Yup. But this is you make a good point. But if you don't make your political views your whole identity, then it won't matter. Because if you guys like hanging out and if you like the same movies, if you like the same music, if you like different music and you like showing each other music, if you both like pets, there's a million other things in life besides politics. And while it is vitally important that we pay attention to what's going on, that can't be your whole life. It can't be your whole life. And seconded from St. Michael.
You can't change 5-10%. You have to change dramatically. And that pain is not easy. So if she doesn't want to give up some of the stuff that she wants, she doesn't have to do it. I remember dating.
Speak for yourself, homie.
A girl, loved her. Till today, we're very good together. Jennifer's friends with her as well. But I got to a point with her where I said, listen, man, I don't know what we're doing next. Okay, you want to go do Hollywood? I don't want to do Hollywood. I want to go be a businessman. And, we like each other's company. Everything's good. Here's what I want to do. What's that? I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. Let's go to church together. What? Are you becoming religious? What? No. All I'm saying is, if we're going to take the next step of getting married, I kind of need help. I don't have a manual. And we got to go belong to some kind of a church, something to learn.
Guys, this is the problem. This is the problem. This is precisely the problem. Listen to it again.
Okay, you want to go do Hollywood? I don't want to do Hollywood. I want to go be a businessman. But man, we like each other's company. Everything's good. Here's what I want to do. What's that? I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God.
Okay, great. You don't believe in God, but you need some help. So where can you go to get the help that you're looking for? You don't believe in God. So the dogmatic, everything dogmatic that follows from believing in God is going to be embedded in Christianity. But there is no alternative. And so then you go into the church, and that is what waters down the Christianity to where we saw the Lutheran church that we saw before. I pray to the non-binary Jesus in a fabulous tunic. That's what happens. So even the most hardcore Christian of you, you should want that alternative, because you shouldn't want atheists to be coming into your space and watering down the message. You should want to have your Christian values, your Christianity here, and your American values here. And they can overlap, but they are different. So that if I don't believe in all the same things in the Christian thing, then I just won't go to church with you. But as long as I agree with the same American things, then we can all be countrymen together. Yeah. Wow. That's what I mean. And that is, again, the issue is that there is no other option. So atheists who are looking for spiritual guidance or whatever have to go to the church, and they water it down, and we get that which we saw before. Open says it's a sad state when people who don't believe in God but have morals are just like, F it. It's just easier to join the church. At least then I will have a community with morals.
Bingo.
We need to be able to create a parallel community that doesn't rely on dogma. Otherwise, the church will keep getting watered down. The hedonistic atheists will continue being their views will be continued to be normalized, and nobody wants that. None of us here want that. So whether we believe in God, whether we don't believe in God, we all want the same thing in that respect.
The church together. What? Are you becoming religious? No. All I'm saying is, if we're going to take the next step of getting married, I kind of need help. I don't have a manual, and we got to go belong.
You do, though. There's a whole series of moral philosophy. Look up Kierkegaard. Look up Jean-Pierre Sartre. John, whatever his name is. Sartre, Kierkegaard, Hippocrates, Rene Descartes. All of these people have spent as much time, their entire lives, going back all the way to Aristotle and all of them, doing the exact same thing that the church is doing, trying to figure out what are the best morals, but detangling that from dogmatic belief. You have the manual. You just are not aware of it because there is no space for us to say, hey, you need help and you're an atheist? Look over here. All you see is the church. And again, that continues to water it down, which makes it worse for Christians. And the ones who don't even go don't have any morals at all. Dietrich said the hardest part of loving friends and family who are addicts is the fact that they won't know rock bottom if you keep hanging on. You can't make someone change. They have to fight. You have to fight their fight. Absolutely. Where is it? You have to fight their fight. You can love them, but you can't support someone who refuses to respect themselves. Well said. Well said. It's a difficult position to be in. And after I graduated college, I went to work at a substance abuse facility because I figured, who better to help these people than somebody who has been through active addiction. But it was so dark. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with it. So shout out to you, man. Because it's dark. Oba said, I believe morality is what's good for society weighted with how much individual freedom should be limited. And I believe if people were educated and had a godless option, we would all be better off. You know I'm agree with that. That's the whole point of this channel.
To some kind of a church, something to learn. So that month of me going through that process for her was so dramatic that she didn't want to do it. And for me, I didn't want to live the life that I was living. I made a massive shift in my life, which, by the way, when you do make a massive shift in your life, like for her, she's been the same for a long time from the standpoint of values. When she was the way she was in high school, she's the same as she is today. When she says she hasn't done drugs, she's been to one club, and because of work and all this other stuff, that's probably your entire life for 29 years.
Probably. And Nick, another bar here. Morals game before religion. Morals existed before religion. And humans acted morally before religion. And it's not like the invention of religion stopped evil. Morals and religion don't have to. They can be. They don't have to be the same. And when you hear stories like you just heard, where people think there is only one avenue, that is making things worse for everyone, Christian, atheist, or otherwise.
That's not the case with me. I woke up and I said, I'm done. The day I woke up and I said I was done, I probably, if I give you a number, I probably lost 20 people in my life overnight. 20 people. My going to Dublin's crew. My going to Garden of Eden crew. My going to Pimps and Hoes crew in Las Vegas. My crew of going to, these, every one of those, Saddle Ranch crew, my, pool, Charles Billiards, every one of those I lost. The girls, I lost all of them. Because they're like, what are you doing? What happened to you all of a sudden? So some, they're in an upbringing, stable, things are more solid, all this stuff. Some are not. If you do want a dramatic change, like let's just say you want to have a wife and kid, if you truly, like what Vinny's doing right now, I'll give you an idea. Vinny, all of a sudden I'm at church. I'm like, I see Vinny. I'm like, what's Vinny doing there? Okay, that's kind of crazy. And then Vinny gets baptized. This is like 6 weeks. I'm like, what is Vinny doing over there?
Who the fuck is Vinny?
And I go record it from the sound. Like, this is the same Vinny? Yeah. You're telling me a story about a girl, with your lips getting swollen, all this. Well, and
Vinny got herpes. Oh no!
Not doing this. And he's not doing that. And then we take him to Bahamas. And I'm like, damn, Vinny's not changed in the last 6 weeks after the Tate visit or whatever. Well, on the flight back, he makes a massive decision. Mario's invited him to church. Aaron invited him. All this stuff. Vinny's made a dramatic shift in his lifestyle. Guess what? The people he was kicking it with 8 weeks ago probably don't like him right now.
Nope.
The people he was chilling with, girls like, hey, can I come over at 11 o'clock? Nah, girl, you can't right now.
Yep.
What happened to you? What happened to the old fun Vinny? That's the bullshit you're going to hear. So there's different situations that people have. For some that we live the wild life and we want to make a big change.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the people that I did drugs with, the kind of vitriol. And I don't blame them because I did the same thing when other people in my life that I used to get fucked up with were getting their shit together. You don't want them to get better because you want them to be there with you and make you feel like everything is fine. But it's not fine. And then when they see it and you don't see it and they have to detach from you, you take it personally. But then you're on the other side and you're like, oh, bro, man, I love you. You're my boy. But I can't hang out with you as long as you're doing blow every single night. I don't want Snapchats of you blowing lines at 6 a.m. I don't even want to see it. I much less wanting you to do it. I mean, do whatever you want to do, but I don't want to see it. And I can't be part of it. Zippy says, also remember, for much of humanity, women were almost a central part of religion. What the Abrahamics did is solidify state and noble rule. Fair enough. You
have to be ready, like Jonah is, to be able to say, I lost this girl. It's totally fine. You got to make that decision as a man. It's tough to do, so it's not easy, trust me. But your friend that's 10% changed since 7 years old, that's fine. That's not the case with everybody.
I'll say this. When you say it's not the case with everybody, I'll make the case that it's not the case with barely anybody.
Yeah.
Like what you're saying is an anomaly, PBD. How many guys that are gangbang in LA or whatever are like, yep, I made a complete change in my lifestyle. I'm a complete family man now. I've started a business. I'm sorry. You're an anomaly. And respect to you for that.
Oh, agree or disagree? Is that an anomaly or is that something anybody can do?
So most people are not.
Or anybody does. Anybody can do it. That's what would make it an anomaly. But do we see enough people doing that we can say generally people don't change? Even though people can change? Or do we say that, people don't change, but this guy was the exception?
Making dramatic changes.
I don't think so.
I'll give you an example.
I don't think
If Vinny's going to church now, awesome. Mazel tov.
Right.
Amazing. I have not noticed any difference in Vinny. And respect, I mean, it's still the same guy. So here's my point. Your habits might change. Your lifestyle might change.
Say personality.
You're just exactly. That's my
personality
point.
It doesn't change.
That's my point.
No, it's not the point.
Your decisions may change, but your personality's not changing.
No.
That's my point.
You can't change your personality.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't change your personality, but you can change who you are.
You can change your decisions and your habits.
Here's the question, though: is being a hoe a personality or a lifestyle?
Oh, well, say this again.
Is being a hoe a personality or a lifestyle?
Oh,
is being a hoe a personality or a lifestyle? What do you guys think? That's a good question because it certainly is a lifestyle, but is it? No, I mean, I'm trying to think that maybe like some women are just more prone to being on the streets, but I don't think so. I think that it is a chosen lifestyle. Dietrich says people are like boats. You can stay tied to the harbor that's on fire to stay with your friends, or find a new harbor that is not on fire in a better part of the sea. If they choose to stay, it's on them.
Bingo!
Well said. Well said. Sippy said it's a lifestyle because people wear out of it. Well, would they though? Would they if they could stay? They wear out of it because the wall hits. They don't wear out of it because they are like, well, I'm not enjoying this anymore. Some do, but for the most part, if you watched Kevin Samuels, you'd have 40, 50-year-old women talking about, the same stuff that the 20, 30-year-old women were. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh, it's a lifestyle, girl.
I also think it's part personality, because there are girls that I went to school with in high school, and they weren't at the time doing anything, I don't think. And then, oh, you're pregnant 2 years later out of wedlock. That was not a shock to me, even though the lifestyle they were living at the time wasn't that, but just based on their personalities, I knew that was going to happen. Like, I knew there was going to be trouble.
In 1973, Gallup did a poll, okay, asking what percentage of gays in America were born that way, and what percentage of gays in America were gay because of their environment. What do you think the percentage was in Gallup?
The polls aren't working again. Come on, what the hell?
Percentage of gays were gay because of they were born that way. Gallup, this is like 70s.
I would say at that time, most of them would have said, or most people would say it was because they were. Wait, are they asking
environment or born?
So this is a nature versus nurture question?
No, they're asking the American people in America because this
they
Gallup
would say nurture.
Okay, so nurture.
Come on, before you give the result, can we all guess on this?
Yeah, I want you to guess.
Okay, go ahead. So just, if you would, just rephrase it one more time.
Okay, so back in late 70s, they did a poll in America asking people.
Oh, I bet it's because they don't want the word hoe. They don't want the word hoe up there. So we're going to put 3-0-4. Is it working out? There it is. That's hilarious. So apparently you're not allowed to use the word hoe in YouTube polls. So he says the dating scene makes it much easier to hop from man to man for decades. There's certainly now.
Yeah. Do you think they were born that way? They were born gay, or because of their environment?
People in the 70s would have said that it was because of their environment.
Okay. Yeah. What do you say it is?
Is it a percentage you're saying?
Yeah.
I would say born 40%, 60% environment.
Okay.
So let's take a look at this. This is, well, wait, what was the, evolution of America's views on Gallup's oldest question about gay people. So comparing 1977 to 2019. So the question of gay people should have equal rights in terms of job opportunities. Only just above half of the people in 1977 said it, and up to 93.
Okay. Yeah.
Gay and lesbian relationships between consenting adults should be legal. Less than half said that should be legal, up to 83% in 2019. Gays and lesbians should be allowed to adopt children, from 14% to 75%. Still the lowest number, besides being gay or lesbian, is something a person is born with. So the lowest agreement rate is whether or not you are born with it. Opus and Dietrich say born with it, as do I. We know what St. Michael thinks. What about the rest of you guys? What do you think? Are you born with it? Or is it a learned behavior? Is it you're born with it, or is it a learned behavior?
13% said they were born that way. Mm-hmm. Today it's 49%. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
During that time, when they said 13% born that way, 50-something% said was because of their environment. So to go back to your question about a hoe, most hoes, their environments affect them a lot. Who you party with, you have to pick up hoe tendencies. There was a famous poet named Ludacris that said it.
Why do you think you take a hoe to a hotel?
He's a great poet.
He's a great poet. A lot of different area codes, right? And
see, Pat don't change. Still quote Ludacris.
Still in there.
But it's pre-2004, y'all.
There you go. Nick's also saying born with it.
But the point is, environment has a big impact. Upbringing has a big impact. People you befriend has a big impact. And a part of it is your own attractiveness to that, which is part of your DNA. but I'm not going to say it's that big of a percentage. You become a-hole. You're not born a-hole. Kid doesn't born. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? This is how I'm going to be my entire life.
Yeah.
No, you pick up some of those bad habits. So
Oh, I just got a mental picture.
go back. Some of us may have not had hoe tendencies. Some of us may have had lazy tendencies. Some of us may have had, splurging tendencies. Some of them may have had.
I definitely had and have lazy tendencies. One of the only habits I've been able to keep up in my entire life is this show. This show. There's literally nothing else. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, but other podcasts I've had, but other than doing this type of stuff, I've not been able to keep up with anything that I've tried to do. I'm just, I don't know. I'm a lazy guy. Zippy says, I see the Monty Python finger squishing things. I'm never. That's in one of the time periods where I missed out on a lot of pop culture from immigrant parents. Never seen Monty Python.
Had smoking weed tendencies or cocaine or ecstasy or special K or whatever you want to talk. So we all had different tendencies, and then some people change dramatically, some don't. But all in all, Jonah Hill, shout out to you, respect, happy. He had a kid a month ago. Congratulations.
Mazel tov.
I'm so freaking happy for that guy.
Yes.
Yep.
I am so happy for the life changing for what he's doing, and he's a sick, incredible, talented actor himself. Maybe one of the most entertaining ones to watch. And whether he does a serious movie or a funny movie, the guy's a freaking incredible
Super
artist.
bad.
Apparently, except for you people. I feel like I saw that. I feel like I saw it, but maybe I forgot about it. I feel like I would remember. But Dietrich says, I feel like some are born, but I feel like there's a massive influx of insecurities that consume these newer generations. Absent fathers, gone or unloving, and influenced by peers. Oh, absolutely. There's no question. There's no question that there is the social contagion aspect to this stuff. But I think it goes more towards the non-binary stuff because you don't have to do anything. You can just claim it. You just color your hair and put a rainbow pin on and whatever. I don't know. I don't know how reasonable it is to assume that people are choosing this type of lifestyle given before recently it was certainly not easy to go out in public and all that stuff. I don't know how many people are choosing to do that when they have the other option. That just doesn't make sense to me. So he said, growing up on broadcast TV, you remember the strange stuff. Unwatched Foe said Monty Python, the Holy Grail is worth watching. We could, watch party, let's do it.
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street. And just quick shout out
Wolf of Wall Street was awesome.
to you, Vinny, for easing up on your hoe tendencies and going to church. Respect to you, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was random. It wasn't like nobody, I'm not saying they didn't invite me or anything. It was just like you said, you get to a point where you're just like, wait a minute. Something in here said to do it. And it's just like, now I have a whole different lens on life and looks great.
Something in here said to just do it. How do you know that it was specifically saying, give your life to God or specifically Jesus Christ? How do you know? Have you tested it? Have you thought about any other ideology? Have you thought about any other moral system to compare it to? Because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. At least not formulated. The ideas and the values are out there. But you got to do a little bit more work than, I guess I'm going to go to this building. And so people don't do it.
Environment works.
I mean, 100%.
Environment works.
Yeah.
It's the right environment.
Some people might consider it called growing up, bro.
Don't ever say the G word.
Rap. Let's go to the MSNBC story. Apparently, everybody here is a right wing. If you do work out, do you know the story I'm talking about?
No.
Yes.
Okay, go to my tweet if you want. I have it all.
Did you guys see this where working out is now some right-wing white supremacy thing?
All the way at the top, you'll find the story. You go to the top. Yeah, there you go. Click on it. Yeah, there you go. A little lower. Boom, right there. MSNBC. Zoom.
So he says it's like being worn down mentally. You give yourself to it for the lack of much else. Religion in a nutshell.
Bingo.
Zoom in. It says no. Go back to the tweet on how they tweeted it.
Yeah,
Okay, it said
Come on, guys, get this stuff figured out before.
the far right's obsession with fitness is going digital.
There we go. All right, are we back? We're back? Are we good? Let me know, 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 back. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Tell me that's not crazy.
Wait.
The far right. So I retweeted it and I put something at the top. I said, does the opposite also mean go a little lower? Does the opposite
we
also
ain't
mean
stopping.
it's true?
I don't care what StreamYard is doing to my computer. We ride on.
The far left's obsession with being fat and lazy is going digital.
I mean, unironically, yes.
So
Isn't that
it's kind of like
crazy?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
the opposite also mean it's true. The far left's obsession with being fat and lazy is going digital.
I mean, unironically, yes.
So
Isn't that
it's kind of like,
crazy?
yeah, so if you work out, even Joe said, wait a minute, now if I work out, I'm a right wing?
Far right.
Yeah, far right.
Yeah, like
But by the way, let's say if they are saying that, okay? So moving forward, every time I see somebody who is willing to take the time to work out, they're disciplined with their diet, they go to the gym 3-4 times, they're detailed with, you know, chest and back and shoulders and triceps, or buys and tries and legs, and they're very disciplined with all that stuff. That's a right wing. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
You know what the Republicans should do? They should use this and say, guess what?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
We like to stay healthy.
Lean into it.
You guys like vaccines? We like to work out.
Yeah.
You guys like to use, like even Peter Hotel say, do you work out? No, not really. What do you eat? Yeah, I eat a lot of junk food. Dude, don't you think that's bad? Do you take vitamins? No, vitamins don't really work. You know, I only take vaccines. Really? Yeah.
Well,
What are we
they've
talking
actually
about
done
here?
studies about this. If you are a man and you go to the gym, you work out, and you have higher testosterone, you are more likely to be right wing than
Correct. I've seen these
I mean,
studies.
left
Yes.
wing. And I don't think it's a mystery as to why, because a lot of the, I guess, mentality that would lead to someone going to the gym, self-improvement, personal responsibility, discipline, those are more inherently conservative than socialist. Not to mention just the, I guess, if you go to the gym, your testosterone levels are going to be higher because you're exercising, and having a higher testosterone level is more commonly associated with right-wing values, because it's like you're less effeminate, less willing to nurture, redistribute, all those things.
You're saying most steroids dealers are Republicans.
But perhaps. I know in the U.
I'm sure there is an overlap.
That would have been a better article.
Yeah.
Well, just look at the UFC. The UFC, I mean, I'm not going to say everyone who's a pro fighter is going to be Republican or right wing, but that is one of the few sports where I think you see a lot of, even if they're not openly, I know for a fact that a lot of people in that sphere, professional fighting, they are conservative. They do lean right.
Yeah, and I mean, we have, I don't know how familiar you guys are with UFC, but there's people like the Colby Covingtons of the world who take on a character of being the Trump guy. And you'll also have, liberal people. There was Tyron Woodley, who did a whole press conference for a fight, and every question would just be, Black Lives Matter. He'd be like, what do you think coming out? How was the camp? Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. That's all he would say. But compared to other sports, you're not allowed to talk like that. You're not allowed to, Sean Strickland is another fighter who used his post-fight speech to talk about, the same thing that's the sound of freedom. I guess we could just say, I don't know, sex trafficking, whatever. But other sports, you would never be allowed to make a statement on Epstein and stuff like that, and censorship. So shout out to Dana White, even if you're not a fan of him specifically, for maintaining a space where people can be professionals and also express themselves. That's a big deal.
Oh, when they see Trump, they like a fighter this past weekend jumped out of the ring and was like, "Mr. Trump, like I love you." So, I didn't know that going to the gym. Like,
Yeah, well,
I'm a racist. Jesus Christ,
it's so absurd. There
such
are to confirm what you're saying. There have been studies out there that attribute being a little bit more attractive to being a little bit more conservative, right wing, free thinking, because it comes down to personal accountability, and that's really what it comes down to. There's multiple studies like this, but this to me, I'd like to see the studies they get where it just seems bullshit on the surface, because I know so many people left, right, center, up, down, gay, straight, who just want to look good, take care of themselves. I mean, I live in Miami and South Beach. You have no idea how many gay guys are out there looking fucking incredible.
They look great.
No, I mean, I'm not into that thing, but
Whatever, they can still look great.
But it's just so absurd. So I fully agree with Pat. If you're on the GOP, embrace the hell out of this. The left are just fat, sloppy, lazy losers relying on vaccines, and you're taking personal accountability and personal responsibility for your health if you're on the right. So
It's a bad look for
yes.
for MSNBC to write that. I would run with it. I'm telling you.
Yes.
If I'm on the other side, I'm going to run. Even MSNBC says,
Yeah. Dietrich says, I don't hate exercise. I just haven't downloaded it yet. It's a huge file, and my RAM is having compatibility issues. I'm right there with you, brother.
we're in shape. We have the right habits, and the other side doesn't. Anyways, next story, since you're talking about this. Trump shares a jovial handshake with Joe Rogan, who once called him a man baby and an existential threat to democracy. Former Donald Trump shared a friendly handshake with Joe Rogan at the UFC fight in Las Vegas, despite Rogan previously calling Trump a man baby. Trump enthusiastically approached Rogan at the event, and the two engaged in a friendly conversation, a 10-second handshake. Rogan has been critical of Trump in the past, referring to him as a man baby and declining opportunities to interview him. Rogan expressed his lack of support for Trump, stating that he doesn't want to help him and views him as an existential threat to democracy. Despite their differences, Trump and Rogan had a cordial interaction at the UFC fight.
In fact, go ahead.
I didn't actually see this.
Question becomes the following, okay, when you see this, okay? If you look at this, because I want you to see this, go back to the handshake to show this.
I love these handshakes, Pat.
Yeah.
They're the most aggressive. Trump is always playing tug of war.
Get over here.
Look at
You guys know the Trump handshake, right? Where he goes, Opus said, find a hobby that keeps you active. Going to the gym sucks unless you are into it. Yeah, that was always, when I was younger, the way that I got exercise is doing other things, playing sports, riding bikes, skateboarding, doing stuff like that. Just like, going to a building to lift heavy stuff. It's just not my thing. Better off taking up Frisbee or some shit. Yeah. Health at every size. Not.
Look at his handshake. Look at that. He's like, get in here. Watch. I love it. He goes, you're a good guy. You're a good. Look at shit.
You could just see he's complimenting Rogan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's like, we should have a talk.
So here's the question.
Yes, sir.
Over under the podcast taking place with Trump and Rogan.
80% yes. It's going to happen. 80%.
I think it is going to happen. I'm not going to give
All
a
right,
percentage.
new poll.
but I
Give a
think it's gonna
percentage,
happen.
Lauren.
Okay.
Take a risk.
67.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's happened.
That is
2/3
happening.
is how
Okay.
she's doing it.
I think 80%.
Where are you going with this?
Well, I'm asking you. I asked you.
Okay.
Pat looks like he has an insider.
I'm-
Look at Pat's grin. See that?
It's cheating if you already
Pat
know
has that
for
look
sure,
that his
though.
son
You have an
has when he
inside
knows he
track.
messed up.
Yeah.
Pat knows. See that laugh?
All
Pat
right,
knows
so
something.
you want to go first? Well, I'll just cite two quotes. You set up the man baby thing that was on a podcast he did with Tom Segura in 2022. It's not a 2016 conversation. And then in 2022, Rogan had a podcast with Lex Friedman, and he said, he was asked multiple times, would you do a podcast? He said, no.
This is what I remember when he's talking to Lex.
Every single time, quote unquote, I have no interest in helping him. This is in 2022. So
But things are changing quickly.
as of a year ago, it was 0%. I think at this point, based on the UFC audience, how things have changed quite significantly, I will give it and I think it's a high number, 20%.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
But Pat, this goes off of what
You're saying 80, you're saying
I think
67.
80% he's gonna do it. And Pat, this just goes into what we just talked about, like tolerance and like he's changing as a person. Like, bro, he's seeing the light. Joe Rogan was anti-Trump and everything right now, but now that he's seeing what the left has done, he's pro-Trump right now. I don't care what anybody says, bro. He's shaking his hand, smiling.
Which
he was a
clip is
fan.
that?
He called him a man baby a year ago.
A year ago. Well, a lot can change in a year.
This is
Just because
true.
he's a man
That's
baby
true.
doesn't mean he doesn't want to interview him.
You want to play
Well, I'm
that?
just
What
glad
is
that he's
bro?
still considered a man.
Oh, is that what you're talking about? What he said?
What do you say
What?
here?
This is the Lex Fridman interview from last year where he said he won an interview.
Play it, Rob.
Lex Fredman. Wow. I
Fredman, I didn't know.
I wasn't going to call it out, but it's definitely Lex Friedman.
Not Friedman, Rob.
Well, he don't want to say that because Rob's been going to the gym, so he doesn't want to be considered a white
Go
man.
ahead.
That year, January 6th.
Shakes hands with people that aren't even there when he gets off stage.
Yeah.
I think he's seeing ghosts.
Biden.
Did you see him on Jimmy Kimmel the other day?
Come on,
Well, he
man.
was just rambling. I mean, if he was anyone else, if he was a Republican, if that was Donald Trump doing that,
It's funny how we all know who he's talking about. Didn't even need to say it.
every fucking talk show would be screaming for him to be off the air.
Mm.
And by the way, I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form. I've had the opportunity to have him on my show more than once. I've said no every time. I don't want to help him. I'm not interested in helping him.
The night is still young. We'll see.
If I have him on, the night is still young.
Yeah.
You think I'll have him on?
I think you'll have him on.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that? Because you'll have Putin on?
Hey, you're competitive as fuck. No.
I mean, I would have Putin on my show. Like, there's definitely an interesting conversation there. That's not co-signing anything that he does, but that would definitely be an interesting conversation.
You can pause it right there.
What's the date on that? Timestamp that.
This is
Well,
this
that
is
came out
probably-
July
But-
5th of
but-
2022.
Like,
So that's
Exactly,
a year
you're-
ago.
yeah.
Pat, but think about this.
2022. The caption says 12. It's 22.
I don't
Yeah.
want to help him, but the Biden and the left, I don't say because Biden has no idea. He's not
Yeah,
making decisions. They have shit on this country so much. Now it's not what now he's gonna help him. No, now he's a prime example of seeing just what the media and everybody did to the left. Go ahead, and what?
No. Before Pat reveals his results,
Yeah.
you want to have a bet?
Let's have a bet.
All right, I'll bet you $1,000
$1,000
that he does not have him on.
that he doesn't interview him.
Dietrich says, may just be me, but the guy who said 20% has this so far up my own ass smugness, and it gives me a complex hearing him talk. Yeah, that's Adam Sauce something. He's got that sauce cast that is kind of like it's more of a dating. It started out as like a money thing, but it became like everybody who goes on Fresh and Fit then goes on Saucecast. Yeah, not a huge fan of him. I think he's charismatic enough to be a host, but I wouldn't watch him. I wouldn't watch him doing what I'm doing. Let's just put it that way.
Correct.
Wait, by when?
By God,
By the time that Trump
presidency
is or is not the
Before-
president.
before November 2nd or 3rd.
Sure.
You're saying $1,000 he doesn't interview him.
Yeah.
It's a good bet.
I watch. So Camcast says, "Do you watch Lex? It's deeper and more philosophical." JRE. The problem is that because they are so long and I can't use them. Then I a lot of. I mean, I used to watch a lot, mainly like the for the guest. I wasn't someone who would watch every single episode of Lex's podcast, but for the guest, I would definitely watch to see, because I think Lex is a very good host, and like you said, very philosophical, and they get deep, and he's very intelligent. But I just don't have the time to go through and see. I would love if he would like if he has a clips channel. I would love to be able to watch more, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time.
I'll go $500. Hey, listen,
Vinny, what happened to having conviction?
No.
What happened to having tolerance, Vincent?
I think $500 is a big number.
$500.
Do you
I'll
want to
bet
do
500.
it?
700.
Adam, the idea is
500.
$500.
$500
You want to do it?
All right.
All
I don't
right,
usually do bets
come
for
on.
less.
What are we doing here?
I'm saying it's not going to
before
happen.
election.
Correct. And if it happens,
So here's what I would say. I think
Okay, there we go.
the one thing that's been very consistent with Joe Rogan over the years, that he's so open-minded that his positions can change.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
True.
He never thought he would have RFK on before. Okay. And now he had
point.
RFK on. Even
Good
the
point.
opening, he says, look, I thought you were a loon. I thought this, I thought that, I thought this. But then listen, I met you, Casa D'Angelo, okay, but whatever. No, he didn't say Casa D'Angelo. I met you in Aspen. We talked. I'm like, okay, I want to have you on. And I thought it was all this vaccine stuff. And I was a guy that was a vaccine person, but you're making a lot of sense. And I read the book. Okay, great. He's done this so many times. He went from Bernie Sanders to saying voting Republican.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct. The evolution
So,
of
so
Joe.
Facts.
meaning there is that.
And I mean, so did I, for that matter. So did I. I was a Bernie bro. And that's how I got shysted into voting for that awful woman. But now I'm a registered Republican. I don't consider myself a conservative, and neither does the political compass test. But in the lexical definitions of how we talk about this stuff, I'm certainly not a liberal, and because of the way that they are a cult, that makes you, by default, a conservative. Dietrich says, Lex seems like an amazingly good guy, but he has the personality and voice of a speak and spell. Yeah, he's monotone is a good word for it. Good word for it.
That evolution with Joe for this to take place. Here's the other part. The whole concept about I've shared with Joe what my thoughts are on the interview with Trump. He knows it, but the idea about I don't want to help him has to be replaced in my opinion, you're not helping him. You're helping America.
Brilliant.
Meaning, if the idea is you don't want to help America, I think, Joe, you want to help America, and you've been helping America. In my opinion, you're the number one guy. You're the GOAT when it comes down to podcasting. And not only that, during COVID, the most super necessary guy in America was him. Forget before Musk buying Twitter in October of 2022. Before any of that, it was Joe Rogan.
And I think that he hit the nail on the head. PBD just did. That I think if Joe understands that it's not about helping him, that he's not there to bolster him. It's not like people don't know who Trump is. But if he goes in there to say, okay, I don't want to help him, so I'm going to challenge him. Whether you like him, you dislike him, whatever, that is helpful for America to be able to see a presidential candidate in a long form discussion. And he knows that. So I do think that he's going to change his mind. Always disagrees, but I have faith. I have faith, not in God, but in Joe.
Dr. Fauci, Pat?
No. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you believe America needs to see the opposing side of the argument, I think Joe needs to have Trump on. I think he needs to have DeSantis on. I think he needs to have Newsom on. Because
Biden?
it's going to be Newsom.
Has Vivek gone on?
Biden won't go.
They would
in a
he
million
would
years.
never.
But I would,
agree to
but I would
3-hour
die to see that.
conversation.
But I would love to see.
You know what I
Biden.
would love to see?
Yeah.
If since he smokes weed with Elon Musk, I would love to see Joe Rogan smoke crack with Hunter Biden. I mean, Joe
That
doesn't need
would
to
be
smoke
awesome.
it, but I think that would be views. We're in an eyeball
So
attention
funny.
economy. Well, I'm here
So,
with Hunter Biden smoking some crack.
I think eventually it's more likely to happen. I'm more 55%.
Could we bump? We want to bump.
55%, yes.
So you want to bump it to
55%,
1,000?
Oh, all of a
Pat-
sudden.
Because I don't
was
know.
talking to
I
him
don't.
Well, Elvis says Trump is going to get real picky who he will go on watch, but he's already tried to get on Rogan. That's already happened. So he's already being picky. He's already chosen Rogan as saying that he does want to do that. It's not because Trump doesn't want to that it hasn't been on. It's because Rogan doesn't want to do it. That's what we've been talking about. Wanted Post said Biden on a podcast, they would never allow it. Nope. Yeah, fair enough. I don't disagree that he's picky, but he already asked to be on Rogan.
It just shows you have no conviction, buddy.
I bet $500, but I'm not.
Okay.
You know.
So you're at 80%. You're
I'm
at
at 80.
67%.
Yeah, I do. I do
You're
think
at
it would
55.
happen
I'm at
because
20.
Rogan's saying he doesn't want to help him, but it seems like, at least with RFK, his approach wasn't necessarily I'm helping you or not helping you. It's just we're just having a conversation and people can decide. And you know, if Trump is an idiot, if he's an extremist, if he's whatever, sitting down for 3 hours, people are going to see through that. So it might even hurt him. Who knows? But I think his audience would decide. And I think Rogan likes
To
that.
be clear,
Exactly.
I actually would like to see that
Of
interview.
course.
Yeah.
I'll gladly lose $500
If it means we can
to see that interview. I think it'd be amazing. But I think we're doing a disservice to Trump to compare RFK's viewpoints to how he feels about Trump.
Okay, so Opus is saying, "Oh, I know there was a time Trump wanted to go on JRE. I just think he won't now." Okay, why? What do you think has changed? What do you think has changed? That's interesting. Dietrich says Biden isn't even let out of his travel crate 80% of the time to answer scripted questions, let alone being on an open mic in the largest podcast. Yeah, I mean that's a pipe dream. That's a pipe dream, guys.
This has nothing to do with RFK.
No,
This has
but
to-
I'm saying he criticized some of his views, but he still had him on.
No.
Yeah.
It's a different beast with Trump.
What do you mean with how the interview with Trump's going to do versus RFK?
Meaning his feelings about RFK were not as intense or exaggerated as they are with Trump. He never called RFK a man baby.
Yeah.
And he never said he would never want to have.
Very interesting individual with a high self-awareness and a level of comfort of being wrong and a level of conviction in areas where he is certain that he's right. And
No love for Vivek? No love for the brown guy? Come on, man.
you know, this is a guy that if there's a guy that would be able to interview, would be able to change his position and be open to the idea, it's Joe. And if that happens, so I'll let you guys know if that happens. It's kind of going to be done 2024, dog. It's going to be like, hey, kiss it goodbye, everybody else, go home, pack, play your
wrap.
video game. It's a wrap. It's a done
I
deal.
understand what you're saying. You're saying that if he has him on, that will mean Trump will win the White House?
if he has them on, okay. So, for example, Maria Bartiromo, let me just read this to you, okay? And this is kind of Maria Bartiromo confronts DeSantis on 2024 campaign. What happened, right? This is a Newsweek story. And if you want to pull up the clip, if you actually have the clip, I don't know if you got it or not, if you can just go to that part where she asked the question, is this, this is the part. Go ahead.
So I said, I think Trump is just becoming more isolated. I don't know why. It's just what my gut tells me. Fair enough.
And played. Watch this.
Back against woke, we know that, but I'm wondering what's going on with your campaign.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Her voice is shrill. I know. No, thank you. No, thank you. All right. Sorry.
She asked the question, is this, this is the part. Go ahead and play it. Watch this.
Back against woke, we know that, but I'm wondering what's going on with your campaign. There was a lot of optimism about you running for president earlier in the year, but here's this weekend's headline from the Politico playbook: failure to launch. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign to topple Donald Trump has stalled. We are way behind, says a top DeSantis PAC official, sounding the...
Yeah, I mean, the PR for DeSantis, because especially somebody like me who way back in the day was a never Trumper, and now I learned my ways, but I would love, because of the fact that TDS is a thing, that people's minds will explode just because Trump is there, they hear his name, they see his face, whatever. That makes you less of a good leader than you could be, regardless of your policy positions, regardless of your personality. If you are not able to get people on your side, you are not as good of a leader. And so looking at DeSantis and what he did in Florida, I'm like, let's go. Let's do this. And from day one, from the announcement itself, it's just like, what are you doing? Then there was the AI things of Trump hugging Fauci with real life Trump on it, all this shit. It's sad. I don't know what's happened, and I don't know if you saw it, but he laughed. He laughed when somebody brought it up. When
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign.
It's so funny that all the money that people are giving me is going right to waste.
To topple Donald Trump has stalled. We are way behind, says a top DeSantis PAC official, sounding the alarm. What happened?
Are you talking about? I think you're talking about. I don't know the name actually. Full Send or Nelk Boys or something along those lines.
Oh, Maria, these are narratives. The media does not want me to be the nominee. I think that's very, very clear. Why? Because they know I'll beat Biden, but even more importantly, they know I will actually deliver on all these things.
Will you know? Because you're not delivering on a good campaign so far.
We'll stop the invasion at the border. We'll take on the drug cartels. We'll curtail the administrative state. We'll get spending under control. We'll do all the things that they don't want to see done. And so they're going to continue doing the type of narrative. I can tell you, we understand this is a state-by-state process. We've had incredible support in the early states, building an organization, signing up the key people that you need to be able to compete in a place like Iowa.
I was just going to say, are any of you still listening to what he's saying? I'm sure he's saying exactly what we need. But the fact of the matter is that you need to be able to get people on your side. I like him, and I am bored from 30 seconds. You're already behind, bro. Wake up. Teacher said he's so opinionated with an, as a matter of fact, attitude. He reminds me of the greasy black-haired servant of the King Rohan in Lord of the Rings. He's kissing the main guy's ass while spewing BS. You're talking about the co-host? Yeah, he's not my favorite. Not my favorite. Yeah, Obis Trump does all that and makes people laugh. Yeah, falling asleep. I was thinking about if I had a snoring or a boring type of sound effect, but I don't. But I would have used it.
We just launched our mom.
Okay, you can pause it right there. Here's the thing. By the way, he ain't lying, meaning he would make one hell of a president.
I'm with Indie Film. What?
I agree.
he would have incredible policies. He would do all of those things. But you're going up against a guy that's a marketer, and your marketing team sucks.
Yeah.
Absolutely sucks
He doesn't
since
have
the book came out.
The razzle dazzle of Trump. He needs to throw in some horse faces here and there.
Yeah, he doesn't have
Horse face, like a comment.
No, like Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, you know.
Some excitement.
He needs some
Little Mark
coming up. I hooked up with DeSantis 17 years ago.
Some gay,
he needs
like,
that to
even
get.
even a gay guy going, yeah,
That's even more
come
exciting.
out.
You are
Yeah.
so funny.
A gay guy blew you.
No,
Go on,
but you
come
know,
out, say
but you know
that.
what it is.
Oh,
Here's the part. The point I'm trying to make is,
Yeah.
you know, so there's one, you have an incredible resume. Check, you have it. Two is, you're going into the interview, okay? The person you already got the interview, like you got the people, you're being considered for the job. You're a finalist. You're in the top 3 finalists to be considered for the job. So the resume got you into the interview.
Right.
Then you have to crush the interview, and you ruin the interview. If Trump goes in with the resume and then he goes in the interview, that's where he shines. He's shining when the interview begins. This guy's like, here's my resume. Let me tell you what I've done. This is why you should pick me. That's not how America works.
Well, it's funny because for so long, people have been critical of Trump being unpredictable, kind of brash and abrasive. But it turns out that maybe you need a candidate with at least a little bit of that, because you have someone like Ron DeSantis. I like Trump. I like Ron DeSantis. I don't think it needs to be either or. But he doesn't have the same star power, the same charisma, which in politics, let's be real, of course that matters.
By the way, okay.
Yeah. And another way to say that is what Dietrich says, that he's missing that BDE.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this. The star power. By the way, his team, I've communicated with both teams, with Trump's team, with his team, with RFK's team, with Vivek's team. We're in communication with every one of the teams.
Suarez.
Do you know which team sucks in follow-up or getting back to us?
DeSantis.
They text. In a text, and then boom. Okay, I'm available this afternoon. Great. No follow-up for 2 weeks. They're the worst in follow-up. It's a reflection of the
I thought it was a rhetorical question. I thought he was asking. Okay, gotcha.
brand. It's not a good look. And this is not like it's a small podcast. We got 17 subscribers and you're doing this with. We got a platform to say this to the market. Your follow-up sucks with people that are reaching out to you. And we communicate with every campaign. So you're talking about, and FYI, I keep saying this. We came here because of this guy. We're in Florida because of this guy. I've moved, I don't know how many people we moved out. If I tell you.
That's a good point.
In the last 26 months, 28 months, if I tell you 1,500 people have moved to Florida because of what we've done, that would be a small number. We've moved a couple thousand people to Florida with the amount of times we've raved about him, raved about the state. We've moved people to the state. And these are high-quality people that we move to the state. These are not non-performing people. These are job creators, entrepreneurs that we have moved to this state. There is support there. You're saying you have to be able to sell yourself, right? Okay. Let me give you another example of somebody that I think campaign to campaign, Vivek is crushing their campaign.
I was gonna guess, but I didn't. He said it before I could. I was gonna say no love for the brown man, but here we go. Shout out to Vivek Ramaswamy. I would love to be able to vote for him. I don't think he has the star power either. I think Trump is just too much of the guy. But oh man, that guy is on Vivek. He is on point.
And Vivek had nothing. Who was Vivek?
Well, I mean, he was a best-selling author, multi-millionaire entrepreneur.
No, but the difference.
But in politics, he was no one. He was no one.
But the difference is, let me put it to you this way. Day one, when Vivek announced he's running for office, do you know what his Twitter account was at? 40,000 followers, 60,000 followers. I'm sorry. Even the woke book he wrote, it didn't blow up. Can you go to Amazon? Go to Amazon and type in Vivek. Go to Amazon and type in Vivek. We had him on, and he and I, we spoke yesterday. Go.
I mean, I can't say that he has my vote right now because I don't think that where we stand, it doesn't look like he has enough of that star power to beat Trump. So I would, but as far as the primaries, that's where my vote is right now.
Go on and put his name there. Okay. When he first came out with his woke book, just type in Vivek Ramaswamy. and go to his book. Okay, how many? What is that? That's Vivek. What year? 2023. How many months ago?
Yeah, this book came out April of 2023. It has
57 reviews. Okay, go to the next book. By the way, 57 reviews. To be fair, guys, and I like this guy, that's nothing. Nation of Victims. How many reviews is that? 372 reviews a year ago. That's barely selling 30,000 copies, by the way, just so you know that number on Amazon. That's nothing. But what has this guy done? Here's what he's done. He went on Charlemagne the God, The Breakfast Club. You know what they tried to do to him? Destroy him. You know what he did? He stood his ground. He went on news.
CNN.
Same with CNN. He went on CNN.
Same with he was just at a rally somewhere, and somebody just started shouting him down, and all the people around in the rally were like, "No, shut up!" And he's like, "No, I want to hear her." That's what we need. That is what got Trump to be the favorite. It was despite all of the rhetoric that people didn't like. But if Vivek can do it without all of that stuff that people don't like, he might have a chance. He might have a chance.
And he's gone everywhere. He's not said no to anything. And he stood his ground when Don Lemon tried to embarrass him. He stood his ground. He says, that's fine. You can believe that, but we can disagree. And he was so respectful about it. The way Ramaswamy went out there saying, I'm not afraid. Him and RFK get A's in the way they've gone out talking. DeSantis' camp is thinking they're entitled to that, to the throne. And you don't get the championship ring given to you. You got to go earn that stuff. By the way, whether you're injured, whether you're not in the mood, when you go into the playoffs in sports, what happens during playoffs? What does everybody say during playoffs when people do the interviews? Like when Joel Embiid says, well, I was really hurt and I was this. You know what champions say? Listen, when you're in the playoffs, everybody is at 50%, 60%.
Same thing with UFC fighters. Nobody goes into a fight at 100%. You go through a fight camp and, you get a little thing here and soreness here and your arms, whatever. Nobody goes into a fight at 100%. But the winners just win despite not being at 100%.
Everybody's dealing with an injury. You got a finger, you got a knee, you got a back, you got a this, you got a that. You don't have a choice. You have to show up in the playoffs, right? It's very disappointing. And by the way, yesterday we're having this conversation with a group of people, and some of the guys said he's the modern day Jeb Bush and he's the modern day Scott Walker.
That's not fair.
Hang on a second. The modern day Jeb Bush and the modern day Scott Walker, not because of resume. His resume is possibly the greatest governor in the last 30 years. Since I've been in America, no one's got a better resume than him. But his campaign is Jeb Bush and Scott Walker 2.0.
And Pat, you've been saying this, Pat, not to cut you off. You've been saying this for how long about the marketing team and everything about him? My question is, as being at the candidate, being DeSantis, how does he not see it? Are you not hearing? Like she just said it. The people are seeing your number.
And he laughed. He thought it was funny. Nick says, I wasn't a fan of Trump, but I voted for him because he was the only one that wasn't a career politician. And that's what a lot of people felt that way. And so if Vivek is now the guy who is the outsider, who's not a career politician, and he has a lot of the same ideas and same positions as Trump, but he can maneuver in a much more respectful way that gets his opponents to not hate him, and the constituents who are not with him, their brains don't explode, then we got somebody we can work with.
Numbers are showing it. Does he need to just do a complete shift, Pat, and like fire somebody or hire a better marketing team? They are horrible. How are they not texting somebody back that is like, yo, I have this platform?
And I was watching so Charlie Kirk was on PBD today, and I wasn't sure which one I was going to do, and because we could still use that one. I really liked this because they're talking about a bunch of different issues. But point being, Charlie Kirk was saying that he can call up Trump and Trump will answer and they'll have a conversation. He can call up RFK and they'll have a conversation. Can't hear anything. Hasn't heard anything. Reached out, hasn't heard anything from DeSantis. Zippy says RFK is more of an outsider in my opinion. He's able to work around anything people can throw at him. Yes, but when it comes down to the actual policy positions, I much prefer Vivek than RFK.
Millions.
It's not just I have a platform. I'll do a fundraiser for you.
Yeah.
We'll raise a ton of money. Yeah. We'll get you eyeballs. We'll have a fair interview with you because we respect you.
And DeSantis is just like, nah.
Let's have this exchange. Multiple times the team doesn't give back. Not one time. I'm not going to give names yet.
Okay.
But I'm going to give names within a year. Okay. Multiple times they don't give back to you. Multiple times they don't give back to you. And by the way, I'm not the only one saying it as well. Megyn Kelly, I say Megyn Kelly is one of the greatest. She's a top 5 in the last 10 years. What are you doing not going on Megyn Kelly? What are you doing not going on any of this stuff? What are you doing not going on Lex Free? I don't know. Has Lex done a podcast with DeSantis yet?
No, I don't
believe so. I don't believe so.
Can you look it up? What are you doing not going on Lex? Lex is a very, very nice guy.
And influential. He's influential. You guys know the Lex Friedman effect. That if you, I don't leave autoplay on my thing. I'm mostly in my watch later playlist anyway. But if you let your autoplay go, eventually you will end up on a Lex Friedman podcast. Influence. That is what you need to win an election. And I don't know if DeSantis just thinks because he did so well in Florida that it's the same thing. But there's levels to this shit, homie. There is levels to this shit.
Yep.
Lex is a sweetheart of a guy that's going to ask you questions, but he's so respectful about it. How come you haven't gone on Lex?
And he'll be fair to you as well. Can I just give some quick numbers just to validate exactly what you're saying? In February, what month are we in right now? July?
July.
Yeah.
So less than 6 months ago, go up, Rob, just to the top left. Who's the head of the Republican primary polls? Boom. In February, between Trump and DeSantis, neck and neck.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
To the left. They were.
All right, let's take a look at this. What are we looking at? Who's ahead in the national polls? So this is February, and then it goes up to now. So, this is Trump. This is DeSantis. Wow. So they were neck and neck. They were neck and neck on, what is that? February 24th? Whatever. Middle of February. And then look at the difference now. Look at the difference now. I mean, Ramaswamy's still all the way down here, but, election season is just starting. It's just starting. So, I mean, and he's on, a good trajectory. I don't think he's going to go that far. But I do think he's going to be a problem for whoever ends up being the nominee in the primaries.
One was at 38%, one was at 42%. Anyone's race in February. Failure to launch. What do they call his campaign? His book came out 6 months before he actually announced. Pat's called out his marketing team. Now go all the way to the right. Just look at the numbers. Trump's at 52%. DeSantis has plummeted from 38 down to, what is that? Less than 20?
Less than 30. It's
24?
like 25, 24.
That,
yeah.
Doesn't say here on the chart,
right,
but it's
right.
hovering right
It
around.
does say on the
between
chart,
20,
you moron. There's numbers right here. 0, 10, 20. So you go over to here. This is 30. It's between 20 and 30. So it's like 24.
23.
So the point.
I thought y'all were money guys. What are we doing here? Nick says, but Trump is someone that other world leaders fear and respect. He's the first to meet with North Korea. Not just meet with North Korea, but walk into the what do they call it? The DZ, the whatever it's called. He walked across that line alone. That shows a desire to do what is necessary, regardless of your own well-being. I mean, I was talking the other day about how, we were talking about friendships. And I was talking about how I can understand that one of my friends is really, really my boy because he stepped in front of a loaded gun while we were getting mugged. I know that he would do that for me. And so I don't have to question his loyalty. I don't have to question his personality. I know it for sure. Oba said, at the rate DeSantis is going, there will be people who still don't know who he is by the time the primary comes around. Probably, yeah.
Point is this. Whatever he's doing, it's fair to say is not working.
So he should change. He should change things up. Even,
you got to adjust. You got to adapt.
Yeah, I'm in Florida for TV.
You got to go into halftime and say, listen, guys, someone's got to give a halftime speech.
Yeah.
Let's change it up a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Florida for TPUSA, and we have a sister organization, Turning Point Action. There's a huge conference. I mean, Trump is speaking. Tucker Carlson is speaking. DeSantis isn't speaking. I'm not part of that organization. It's just they're separate because
is DeSantis really not speaking?
He's not.
Thank you, Nick.
I mean, he hasn't been announced yet, and there are some people who are wondering why he isn't there. Is it because he doesn't want to go in the same event, be speaking with Trump? And I don't know, but I would love to see more of him because he's been one of, like you said, the most effective governors. He's been aggressive in his policy, which I love. He's not one of these Republicans who is simply trying to be on offense all the time. He's actually saying, okay, parental rights and education, boom, let's do it. Let's go after Disney. We're not just going to talk, which I love.
Yeah, and so do a lot of other people. But that's not enough. I wish it was, but in a presidential election, that's not enough. Like Opus said, there's going to be people who don't even know who DeSantis is. Sad.
I've been in communication with his administration. There was a video that I shared of this topless trans stripper with she looked like 4 years old. It wasn't just talk for the campaign. They're actually doing things about it. They're trying to do an investigation, see if they should keep their liquor license. I love how effective they are. But like you said, the campaign, it's
got to show up. Listen, when you get to the interview, you best deliver when you're sitting across the decision maker. You know who the decision maker right now is? America. And Americans right now are saying, no, you're not fit for the job yet.
Facts.
Maybe never. FYI. I will never forget when the Pacers are playing the Miami Heat and timeout is called. Indiana is up 1. This is game 2. Game 3, they're about to go up 2-1.
This is 2012.
Yes.
Yes.
11 years ago.
Nice.
Okay. They're up 1. Coach Vogel takes out Roy Hibbert, who was the center of starter all-star game that year.
Roy Hibbert.
He takes Hibbert out. And what are you doing? There's 2 seconds left on the shot clock. Hibbert's on the sideline shaking his head. What are you doing taking me out? Miami takes the ball, gives it to LeBron at the free throw line. LeBron goes this way, fakes, going with a left hand. They win the game. Afterwards, they're talking TNT. And Chuck says, well, you know, Frank's got to tell him right now, we're so close, and this is our chance to go to the championship. And Kenny Smith says, no, Charles, I disagree. He says, what do you mean you disagree? He says, this may have been their last chance to ever win a championship. Wow. These players don't realize when you get an opportunity like this, championships are not handed out. You should have kept Hibbert in. What are you doing taking him out?
That's a great point. That's a great point. That these decisions, you don't get a do-over. You don't get a do-over. So you better get it right. So you have to understand what is right so that you can do it. And when other people, you know, I mean, I'm not a sports fan like that, but I understand what he's saying. And so when other people are saying, why are you, coach, what are you doing? If all these other people are saying, maybe that's not the best idea. Yes, you are the leader. But if you can't take information in, not a good deal.
Guess what? He was right. Hibbert went like this after that. Nobody ever talked about him again. And that entire team, Paul George, everybody, they had collapsed. Vogel, everybody went all over the place. This idea of thinking, well, if this doesn't work, we'll do 28. If this doesn't work, Skywalker, this doesn't work. Jet Bush doesn't work. No, this is not how life works. You have the sickest resume today. You crushed it under COVID. You even had NBA, like the storytelling. Why are you not talking about the most liberal BLM? Think about the hypocrisy. NBA had BLM all over the place. And as much as that BLM all over the place, they chose to hold the All-Star game in your state while you're the governor. How the hell are you not telling that story? You crushed it, and you're not telling that story.
That's a good point, too, is that he has stories to tell. He has, as he's saying, the resume to come to this and crush the interview. And he's just not. He's just not. Oh, of course, my button goes away.
I don't understand this stuff. It's so confusing. This should have been like this. Of
course not.
Trump and DeSantis should have been like this. And by the way, that's better for America if it would have been like this. Because they're pushing issues. There is no issues right now. We're not hearing any issues right now.
Trust me, it is tough to find anything going on. There's nothing happening. And yet still, you can't get your name in the news.
All we're seeing is this. It's over for most people. Some people say, why should even Trump get on the stage? Can you imagine if Trump doesn't even get on the stage?
He doesn't need to.
He has to, though. That is it. That is your bread and butter. You have to be on a stage talking in front of a crowd of people. That is Trump. So the idea that he wouldn't debate, I think, is crazy. That is his bread and butter. Nick says, I think he just wasn't ready. I mean, it's hard to understand how that could be the case when he did so well. But I mean, what other conclusion can we come to, right?
He doesn't need to get on the stage. It was like, Maria asked him a question. Are you going to be on the stage? So, well, yeah, of course I'm going to be doing the debate. But this is, you have to win by the state and all this other stuff. No, not for president. Yes, it's by state, but not for Republican. That's for.
Yep.
Anyway, so it's a whole different story on what's going on here. So for me, Trump
and DeSantis have the same problem. Shit for brains campaign personnel. Difference is Trump has more innate ability. I do think that is correct in the sense that they both are not hitting on the thing that other career politicians would know. Oh, we got to do this, and that. Their appeal is that they're not these career politicians. But that doesn't mean that we want you to be completely different than any politician that we know. There are things that in politics that work. And so you have to balance being an outsider with doing things the right way. And that balance just isn't there, I guess, for either of them. But like you're saying, Opus, Trump is just doing a bit better. Shout out to Trey Williams in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Said, I hate when PBD uses sports analogies because he leaves out so many key parts. Well, I mean, did he not get the point across? I feel like I got it.
Goes on Rogan. He's going to put on a show. You know what he's going to do? He's going to do flattery. Joe, you're the greatest. This, that. All of that stuff's going to happen. They're going to connect. They're going to laugh. He's going to make Joe laugh his ass off. Those clips are going to be put up. At the end of it, Joe's probably, hey, sir, I got to tell you my position here, but I really enjoyed you with you. Hopefully, you're going to kind of tone it down a little bit with the way you do this with tweets. He says, I'm working on it. And then, boom, the world's going to see that and humanize him, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, why do we think it would be any different? Why do we think it would be any different? And I think that the fact that Rogan is, an LA comic and the default liberal, the default liberalness is very heavy there. Not to mention, he was the liberal guy that was blowing up in podcasting, and he's still the same guy. So he doesn't understand that the Overton window has shifted and that society has shifted. So he still thinks of himself as a liberal in the classical sense, whereas the word has really, 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 really changed, which is again why semantic obfuscation is such a big problem for political discourse. But I think if he understood what we are saying, that like, no, we're not trying to get you to help anybody. We're not trying to say that he deserves, your platform or whatever, but exactly what PBD said, that it's about what is best for America. And you are the only one with this platform to be able to provide America with what is needed in this context. Trey said he left parts of why the team fell apart. It was a lot of off the court issues. Well, but that doesn't change the fact that the opportunity happened at the time of the opportunity. And once the opportunity had passed, all this was whatever he left out was able to happen. If all that happened anyway, but they were already world champions, they'd be world champions. So the point isn't about why the team fell apart. The point is that the team did fall apart. It doesn't matter why. The fact is, I mean, according to the story, correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact is, if a dude had kept whatever player in and been able to defend LeBron, then maybe the game would have gone differently. But we will never know because the opportunity was lost. Nick says, luckily, Joe realized that Biden is the worst person we could have gotten. Yep. Almost said, I disagree. The left even call JRE far right. The left calls everybody far right. That doesn't mean that in his mind he thinks he's far right. He thinks of himself as a pot smoking, Bernie Sanders liberal. But he's not. He just doesn't know that saying that means a different thing than it did in 2016. Almost said, no one has a platform that can speak to the left and the right. Well, you're right there. But hopefully with things like my show and Trump going on Rogan, then we can fix that. At least a little bit. If we can even fix it a little bit, then we are doing exactly what we are setting out to do. So I want to thank you guys so much. Definitely go check out the rest of the conversation. They get into some more stuff, and we skipped some in the beginning. I wanted to get some more of the juicy stuff. Shout out to Patrick, Bet, David, and Lauren Chen, and the rest of the team. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. I really love hanging out with you guys. Big shout out to Unwanted Foe, and of course, the sponsor of the stream, Zippy the Strange. Thank you so much for the support, guys. I really do appreciate it. I cannot tell you how much. And of course, we got a scared Morty here who is very appreciative of your treats. As soon as let's see if he'll eat it now. Here, you want it? It's a peanut. Eat the peanut. I don't know. He's terrified, but he's going to eat it as soon as we go off air. But yes, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Let me know what you guys think about, where you expect this race to go. Do you expect, Do you expect Vivek to get a lot more play? Do you expect him to have a lot more exposure? I know he's been on the news, on podcasts and stuff, but there's a lot of people who don't know who Vivek is. Same question about RFK. Do you think he's going to be able to craft a message that the mainstream can swallow whole? Because even liberals know that Biden isn't the guy, so they're desperately looking for somebody else. And I don't know how they would accept an anti-vaxxer. But certainly the avenue exists. Opa said Trump is the only hope for 2024. It's a struggle to disagree with that. And Unwanted Foe said Morty only eats medium rare Wagyu beef now. Yep. I mean, he's spoiled. But so am I. I am spoiled with you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Come through to the after party in Discord. The party rages on. Thank you so much. Once again, you guys are awesome, and I really do appreciate you. Don't forget, I drop new videos every single day, and we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Let's try that again. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Once again, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.